This episode of Scab Talk is brought to you by Lethal Gaming Gear. And welcome back to Scab Talk, everyone. Today's episode will be catching you up on all the Tarkov news that we normally have for you, followed by technical updates, some DLSS 4 improvements through not who you may think it is, but we'll talk about that. And then we got Max Traders, Vector, and Bloodborne on PC. Gotta do the YouTuber little
The
accent. Yeah, accent at the end.
Intrigue.
Inflection.
Please stay. I hope you're doing all good this week, Church. I've been doing all right. We've been grinding along. Made it up to Max Traders, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. Have you been playing? How much have you played this week?
I played like 2 to 3 raids. I convinced my friend to step away from Dune. Because, sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that. He signed an NDA. I mean, Dune, the board game, yeah.
Yeah, the books, the film.
Yeah. Anyways, mods, don't ban them. Don't perma ban them, okay? That's all he's got. No, but for... I convinced him to play with me, and we played a couple raids, did a couple tasks, and that's kind of just, I don't know, I just like playing Tarkov solo. I just don't know if that in me. I would do it like streaming wise, but even then it's like, especially nowadays, I haven't streamed, and like when I did stream, it's like a bit more consistent than what it is now. But now it's like in the depths of nowhere. So
yeah, I don't know. People would come, like people who like hang around normally. They come back, I'm sure.
Yeah, just gotta get on the right cycle. You know, gotta hit the 7-day, 5-hour optimal stream time. You know.
Goodness, don't need to get that crazy.
I mean, I'm super
light.
I'm going live.
Yeah. All right, cool. So what level are you now, just for context? You like mid-30s?
I'm 38. I really wanted to get Peacekeeper 4 because I wanted to see what he had in store, and needed to do a few rep stuff. So we did that, and I got Skier as a unnecessary side thing. So now it's just Mechanic and Ragman left.
I feel like you can get away with, like, once you get to 38, you can kind of get away with stuff at that point. Like, you have options, you have ways to get class 5 armor. You don't need all of the stuff off Mechanic. Like, you don't need it. Like, it's nice to have.
The only thing about Mechanic is he has those rails for the Voltor handguards. And there's only 2 of them in the game. The one for the FAL, or the ones for the FAL, and the ones for the Scar. But unless
it doesn't matter that much, right? I don't think I've used either of those guns. You know, there's like just not much there.
I mean, I want to use the new stuff, like the Scar with the attachment. But if you're playing no Flea Giga, it's like, man, those things, you're just like gate kept.
Oh, of course, yes,
hard
of
gate
course,
kept.
because you play no Flea. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. Okay, cool. Well, there's been a few bits and pieces. We actually missed this from last week. It was nothing too crazy. Actually, was this from last week? Yeah, it must have. Wait, no. This was like the 30th. So, anyway, whatever. There was one that we missed, but it was basically of no consequence. There was another technical update on the 30th that we didn't miss that one. That would have been last time, but we ended up not doing it and recording it today, today's Monday, on a bit of an odd cycle. So we'll just have to do a quick one and then do one on Friday as well. So they changed the ability to disable the frame limit regardless of whether you've got reflex on or not. So like previously, if you enabled NVIDIA reflex, you were then not able to remove the frame cap on the game, which is a bit strange. And people always used to do, this like you put the VSync on in one place and you put the VSync on in another place and you turn it off here and you turn it on there and then it uncaps the frame. Some like weird trick. Nikita hates them. One weird trick to get you a frame. I mean, frame capping never really a problem for me. The game doesn't run high enough for me really to ever run into that problem personally. And if you want uncapped frames, then that's fine. Especially, certain maps are really good for frames. Even Labs obviously is one, and then Ground Zero is another one that actually has really amazing frames for me. I think it's just because the location is quite small, but that runs really quite well. And they've fixed all known causes of disappearing audio in raids, which means they probably haven't fixed it. Then a couple of other bits, like fixed positioning of gunshot sound sources when the shooter was directly behind the player's back. Fixed active headset effect disappearing when starting a raid in PvE. I've heard this one quite a bit. We used to get that bug if you did offline. Like a couple of years ago, you do an offline raid and it was as if you weren't wearing a headset. You took it off, put it back on again, and then it worked. That happens. Well, that was happening in PvE because people were complaining about it, and I was like, I don't think that's happened to me in PvP. But I think it looks on this, it's a PvE specific problem. Fixed positioning for Zerachi and his guards on the peninsula, because some people have been doing Lightkeeper, getting to Lightkeeper, getting the dongle, walking up to the thing, and then Zerachi and his guards are in the wrong place, and then you go into their aggro zone, and then they shoot you dead, outside the door or something to the lighthouse, which is not ideal. So apparently that's fixed, and then some visual issues. So that's pretty good. There's also they also added an extra bit afterwards underneath, and it says update added the ability to disable the game frame limit in raids with VSync and NVIDIA Reflex settings disabled. So I guess they put it in both ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not sure. As I said, I don't use those really, so I'm not 100% certain. There's also an arena patch. It really is of no real consequence. So basically, it's just all fixes stuff, extra synchronization fixes, high texture changes, fee calculations for transferring items, things like that, which just don't really matter. There's one which was really annoying. Actually, the only one in there that was relevant to me was fixed an issue with respawning in aiming mode while dying when aiming. So if you died when you ADS, you'd respawn back in ADS. It was just really annoying.
Yeah.
It didn't really matter, but it's just a pain because on Chop Shop or something, you probably want to sprint straight off when you respawn in to try and chase the shots or whatever. And I'd constantly be coming back in ADS, and then you're trying to un-ADS, trying to run. It's just really weird. I'm pretty sure I still had this after this patch, but whatever. We'll have to see. Maybe I can't remember when I played. This is that was the 27th, so that was quite a bit ago, a week ago. So I need to check again. It's been a couple of days since I played Arena because I was busy over the weekend. Okay, so that's just the quick rundown of those. So the other big thing that we had is the flea market survey result, which we talked about this last time about how the Twitter poll was very controversial, was potentially, I guess, manipulated in some way. Anybody can vote in a Twitter poll. If you have 10 accounts, then you can vote 10 times. It's just very easy to fiddle with if you so wish to do that. And we suspected that there were parties out there who have an incentive to influence the direction of the game. There's potential. You can see potential incentive at least for people to do that. So this one is more pure and is a result of basically the people who are actually playing right now, which is good. So results of the in-game survey on the flea market. There's a whole blurb about them wanting to balance the game well, and they also link Nikita's Twitter one versus this out of it pure sort of just interest you can cross-reference. So number one, do you find Escape from Tarkov gameplay more engaging with the flea market closed? The in-game poll has 48.5% yes, 31.7% no, and basically 20% not sure, which is quite a lot of not sure actually. I mean, I think that's a valid answer a lot of the time. There's a lot of people who don't really know which way the game should go, to be honest, and so I'm not surprised actually that that's so high. But when you redistribute that 20% across the other two, it pretty much becomes 60% yes, 40% no for people who've made a decision. If you discount the not sure people, which is interesting because on Twitter, as we saw, we found that a lot of people. Well, there was more votes for keep the flea, or that the flea market is better than no flea market, and that last time we heard that there was that part where it was in favor of the flea, and then all of a sudden there was just a huge flurry of votes, massively overwhelming on the no side, which just seemed really suspicious. And this one can't be gamed in quite the same way. So people are enjoying the flea market. Now, this doesn't... Oh, sorry, people are enjoying the no flea at the beginning of the wipe. This doesn't necessarily mean the flea should be removed entirely. I just remember there is actually an interesting conversation that I'll pull up on Twitter a bit later with a bit more flavour on this. But we'll go through this first, and we'll see. So the BSG themselves said, here's where we've seen the first correlation between Twitter and the active player base. While the Twitter audience was more negative towards the lock of the flea market, the results show us that nearly 50% of respondents believe that the lock of flea benefits the early game and makes the looting aspects more purposeful. So question 2, what do you find the major challenges when the flea market was closed? No surprise to anybody, the most popular answer, 26%, was inability to purchase keys needed for quests, because I think that just definitely needs to be thought of and resolved if they're going to carry on in this manner. That's not a surprise to really anyone. Second one being requirement for founding raid hideout items for the hideout, because it's quite controversial, and I like it, but it's like basically the more you play and the more you grind, probably the more you like it. And the more casually you play, the less you like it, because it makes it impossible to really do it. It's very, very difficult. Like
Which
even
one?
now, I've not finished Bitcoin Farm yet. The founding raid hideout items for the modules.
Yeah, because
So
why
it's
is it
like
more casual?
No, I
Or
said
not?
it's controversial. It's more controversial. So the more
Yeah.
casual you are, the harder you find this
I feel like
thing.
I'm not casual, but I just find it really annoying. Because then it's like, what purpose is my butt container for at this point? Like, it's just weird.
It's barter only. Exactly. And then all the rest of them were actually pretty similar. Like inability to purchase equipment, completing in-game quests, item crafting, and medicine and ammo purchasing. Those were all about 11%. And then didn't encounter any issues was tiny number, and did not play with the flea clothes was like 2% or something. So all the rest were pretty much the same. I think that's 10% is probably an acceptable level of suffering. Then one answer's like super outsized, which is the quest keys one. I mean, we talked a lot last time about founding raid. Like, it'd be good if you could put stuff in your butt, but there's no mechanic for that.
But it's
So
like,
I don't really know.
Even weirder to me, if you just got rid of the flea, then like founding raid hideouts basically doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like it's the same thing. Like, if the flea's not there, the hideout's founding raid by definition.
yeah.
And then you also get the ability of the secure container. Thing is, if they lock the flea for longer, it depends on how they do it. Because if they locked it, how long was it for? 3 weeks? Was it 2 weeks? Was it? And then 3. They did 2, I think, and then extended it by 1.
I thought it was
Maybe
like
another
1
10
week
days or
and
something.
then like a week plus.
Maybe it was
5
a week and then
days.
2. I actually can't even remember now. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, it wasn't very long. I mean, if they locked it for say like a month, then I actually think that you could much more argue the case for just like removing this founding raid hideout thing. Like, it wouldn't matter, because like a month in, most people have done most things, and then it would open, and then anybody who's like playing catch up would be able to actually
I see what you're saying.
get back,
Buy their way
in or whatever.
Progress, basically.
Yeah, I kind of feel like slow, like relaxing of restrictions through the wipe is the best way, because it allows people to play catch up if they didn't start right at the start.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a fan of like almost a tiered flea that sort of slowly opens as time goes on. In the end, it's kind of like quite open. And in the last couple of days, I almost don't really care. If it's like the last like 3 weeks of the wipe or whatever, I don't really care if everything's open, really.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like that for the whole time. But anyway, that's another conversation. So they said, for both Twitter replies and the survey data, told us the lockdown of Flea not only slows the progression but adds more challenges. One of the main concerns was the lack of barter for keys to progress. By the way, I'm quite pleased that they gave like a little blurb. They didn't just like paste the charts and just send them in and be like, here you go. They've actually like written a little like summary of what they think, which is kind of interesting. Second most popular response, hiding raid, finite requirements created bigger challenges for the player base. Also sums up another big point, inability to purchase gear needed for tasks, e.g. setup, as well as armor, medicine, and ammo. So they're like thinking, it's not just like pacification of the community, paste some survey results, whatever. Like the setup thing in particular isn't there. That's part of the community feedback. So they are actually thinking about it. We do believe that Escape from Tarkov is a hardcore and realistic shooter. We also understand the challenges should come naturally, not gatekeep players. Cool. What changes would you make to the Flea system? This is weird because this one's like the questions in this are really like weird. Some of them are specific, some of them are really flaky, and that kind of then leads into some of the responses too. So I'm satisfied with the current flea market system, 30%. It's actually pretty decent, I think, given how unhappy people are with games in general. Gamers are never happy, so 30% I feel is actually not bad. Allow listing items only with found in raid status is like 18%. So people who want to make the Flea like more restrictive again, not being able to sell PvP gear, all of that stuff, and nothing, not being stuff to be sold in your butt, and also removing flipping is kind of all contained within that. And then remove all restrictions on listing items on the Flea is 16%, 17%. So it's like very close. Like 30% of people are yeah, I'm fine. Just under 20% are just like, no, more restrictions. And just under 20% are like, no, less restrictions. It's like so funny. That's where you see like the bifurcation in the community. There's this core of people who are just like, yeah, it's I think it's working all right. And some
But
people want to make it more and some people want to make it less.
all right, the 30% and the like right now there is no restrictions on the Flea outside of time gate, which is new this fight, right?
Well, they mean like ammo, they mean armor, they mean guns. That's what they
I
mean.
didn't think about that. Okay,
So all class 6, M61,
right.
the Zabralo and those kind of things.
Yeah,
Not that
yeah,
they're
yeah,
really very important. The Altin, all of that stuff.
yeah.
That's what they want.
Okay,
That's what they
gotcha.
want. So those are, I think, those are the most like interesting and relevant parts. The next one, introduce specific operating times for the flea market, e.g., weekends only, which is like 12%. So it's not very high. Like I said this on stream when I went through this with the people who were live with me when it actually came out. I can see where people are coming from with this, but I just don't think it's a good idea. Just because if you miss it, then it only helps people who like can just be on all the time. I think we talked about it on here actually as well, because it was just like a lot of people. I saw that idea floating around so often. I just don't think it's really very good. I don't think it's a good
I thought it
idea.
was
I
interesting
think,
at first, but then I heard you
yeah,
talk about it, and you were one of your points was like we're just about to say this, but one of your points was like you basically like incentivize behaviors that we're trying to de-incentivize more, like the whole idea of like it's like you're hoarding stuff, stocking up, this selling the flea,
mm,
so if people are like stockpiling things, like you almost then it becomes like you have to like plan your Tarkov around this specific 2 days.
yeah. And you're playing like warehouse manager. Then you're just like, how much
Right, right.
M856A1 can I stockpile up to sell on the following Thursday when everyone's run out? I'm just playing warehouse manager at that point,
Yeah,
which is I just don't think it's the way the game should really be. And then I think it hurts the people who can't be on there for logistical reasons,
exactly.
right?
It's
For real
like
life.
the warehouse managers got a buff effectively, and then the casual blue collar workers are just coming in. It's like but I don't know. Maybe because supply will be if a lot of people are stocking up, then maybe supply will just flood out the market. But I don't know because of the market inefficiencies of it being a top down system. If you sit there on the screen, if like the market opens at 12 o'clock, 12 a.m., whatever, and then you're sitting
Mhm.
there on the screen listing, and so is like everyone else, then you might, you know what I mean? You need to see what people are selling first to know. And then people are going to be listing
Yeah,
this. So if you wait like 5 seconds, you could have like got shoved all the way down, or like it's
it
kind of a
happens.
mess.
I feel like it would almost be more interesting the other way around, where like the traders stop selling stuff at random times and you don't know which items. Like rather than just being like the flea's on and the flea's off, it's really predictable and really
Scary.
obvious, right? Yeah. But if the traders just stopped selling certain
Mm-hmm.
things and you didn't know, and it was like a subset of stuff as well, it's just like that'd be more interesting. But even still, I don't know. I'm not sure that whether that's even a good idea either. I think another one that would be better is if they changed it so that the trader resets were like weekly or something. That would help as well, I think, in some ways. We've talked about that quite a lot in my chat, actually. Rather than it being like the flea market at specific times or whatever, it's just like, oh, your trader reset is weekly. You have like you multiply it by the number of time slots times number, or maybe not even, maybe a couple of days or something like that. But just basically give everybody the opportunity to get the same pool of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right? Like if you're on every 3 hours, you can buy so much stuff. And so to start with, it's just easier to balance because
Yeah.
at the moment it's like, oh, if you just like hop on and you're like, oh, I haven't bought any ammo for this, like, oh, I actually don't really have very much. Whereas like the other people who are on constantly, it's just like, well, I'm not using 5501 at the moment. Well, sorry, I'm not using 506, but I'm continuously buying 5601 every time I'm on, every 3 hours, and now I've just got so much that it may as well not be a restriction. Um, the weekly or like couple of days reset or something, or like even just a day to start with. Like you
Mm-hmm.
jump on and say, oh, here's a day's allocations of whatever. I think those ideas are better than like the flea market operating times thing, which I think would just end up being annoying.
I think I'll like pay per service value. Like it sounds like a good idea, but when you really like
Mm.
think it through, I think it's
Yeah.
like a bad idea, actually.
That's the thing. I think it sounds cool. It's like, oh, the fleas, it's on or off or
It
different whatever.
sounds
It's like,
like this is the perfect way to please two people, you know? It's like, oh, the casuals can log on the weekend and, but I think, I don't know. It's just the uncertainties of what the market will do there for me is just like,
yeah, it's difficult. And somebody on Twitter asked me like, oh, what would your perfect view of the flea market be? And I was just like, dude, like my perfect view of the flea is like some kind of like bazaar where like you have a certain amount of space on like a stand or something. You have to go and like actually go and like look at people's stuff. It's like a junk sale, But I was like, I don't even know how
that'd
you
be
influence
so
that. That's
good.
crazy, right? But like that's my perfect view of the flea. It's like completely it's completely unimplementable. But like
Yeah.
it'd be sick, right? It'd be cool. It reminds me of something back from like old RPG, like Korean RPGs, like playing like Conquer Online and stuff, where
Yeah.
like people did actually have an actual stall at a marketplace, right? And things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. That's what I would
Like
love to be playing on Shoreline, and then some dude on VoIP is just like in the gas station. Hey, come on in! I got AKs, magazines, bullets. You need peas? Tashanka, you trying to do your quest?
yeah, can you imagine that? Like it'd be like full open world Tarkov, all the maps connected. You've got like a safe zone with like the marketplace, it'd be interesting. You got to like go and take the stuff there and like put it on the table. It's like automated system. You don't have to be
Oh
there.
my
People can go
god.
and like buy the items. It's a bit like the weapon rack thing. You like put them up and they're up for sale. You set the prices. People like wander around like, oh yeah, I want one of these, one of those.
I just had a
It'd be sweet.
genius idea. Okay, it's everything you just said, but it's like, well, no one's gonna want to do it because then they gotta take the stuff back to the stash, right? But what if you had couriers? You could pay Chads to take the loot back to the stash for you.
Yeah, it's a legitimate income, or like your scabs even.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, the cheap labor.
Yeah, you pick up a contract to like bring the stuff, whatever.
Yeah, and I'll bring this raid backpack for you, man. Don't you worry, it's going to be secure. Meanwhile, Scav, oh my god, he's got some GPU. I'll take that. Rolex, I'll take that. Just rummaging through the backpack.
You can imagine some fun systems with it, but
yeah.
Okay, so the next one was limit the items available for listing on the fleet. I think this question is too flaky to get any good like responses on it. It doesn't really say what, how, when, why. So only 11% or 12% of people said that. And then allow listing offers only for barter trades, which was not very popular, 11.4% or something. So I don't really know. I mean, this basically says to BSG, do what you want. I think, which is like 30% of people are satisfied, 20% of people, 15 to 20% of people want it either more or less. So just kind of do what you want. It's like not overwhelming either way, right? So they're probably just going to carry on doing what they're doing, make it make more sense. Hopefully, they said we saw an interesting outcome. 30% of respondents said they were satisfied. While this has been the most voted answer, it still shows that 66.6% of respondents look for some types of change to the flea. This gives us ground field for some potential changes to increase the number of satisfied players over 50. So we'll see.
I'm not a statistics major, but I feel like
it doesn't add up. No,
that's not a good way. Well, I didn't do the math, but I feel like that's not a good way of looking at data. It's like you assigned a binary. It's like you grouped groups of data together. That it's like the flea market was the result. It's like one result, and then all these other ones are like a different result, but they're the same result, which is like the flea market's getting changed. You know what I mean? But they each individually have their own consequences.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I only say that to say, I just think part of me just wonders if they do want to change, like make some type of change, but they don't know how or what, so they're looking for some sort of like room to like experiment, like almost like a reason to, it's like, oh, this, you guys wanted, this is what you guys wanted, you know what I mean? It's like I feel like they needed some type of justification to actually do it, because otherwise, like if they did like a straight down the middle, do we change the flea market, yes or no? You know what I mean? And it's like 45-55, like you're piss off a lot of people, So if you could
Yeah.
kind of like skew the numbers into the majority. I mean, this is maybe I'm like smoking the
I know what
conspiratorial
you mean,
pipe
though.
here.
I know what you mean. It makes it easier to put a change through if you have something that looks more convincing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's hard to know exactly what to do, right? Because also, yeah, if you go back to that one with the 30% of people who are happy with it, it's like, well, if you make it more restrictive, you'll satisfy 16.6%, or maybe some of them. It depends on how far, like within that 16% of people who want to make things more restrictive, for example, you've got people who want to like make things really hardcore and like, get rid of the traders and make it like a
Mm-hmm.
fully hardcore game. And some people who just want to like make things a little bit, less than they are now. So it's like, well, how far you get, you're not going to capture everybody in there until you make it like as restrictive as it can be. Sorry, I'm talking about the 18%. It goes either which way around though. So it's a spectrum of people. There's the 30% of people in the middle, but they're a spectrum, and then there's the two other wings to that, but they're also a spectrum. And like, if you move it, some people will fall out of the I'm happy, and will be like, well, I'm not happy anymore. So it's like you can't just go like, oh, we're going to make it more restrictive and then keep all these people, and then so like, it's not really how it works. I did see one. There was like one comment about this survey in general, which is that there's multiple choice in a lot of cases, whereas these things all add to 100. So it's a bit strange because you could only have like
Wait,
they're all like
what?
compared to each other, but they're not necessarily the same number of votes. Does that, like it's just weird.
Wait, you
It's
add
just
up all the
weird.
numbers and it's over 100%?
No, it isn't. It isn't. But like
Oh.
because it's multiple choice,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
it
It
just
makes
makes it a bit.
things right.
Yeah, it just makes it hard to interpret. I think is the issue.
Which that was kind of.
Um,
I don't know if this is exactly what you're saying, but it's like for each. The more they add to this list of like, it's like, do you want change? The first one is like, do you want changes? Yes or no? No. Or like, do you want changes? Are you satisfied with the current flea market system? And then the rest of them are like, what do you think about this change? So if they keep adding like delineations or variations of each, let's say they had
yeah,
like 20 different changes. It's like, how many of that takes away from the people that are like not satisfied? It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. That sounds interesting. I'll vote for that actually.
yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah.
weird to like aggregate all the changes to like a 66% total versus 30. Maybe not. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a statistician.
Yeah, there was
Anyways,
so
sorry. Went on a tangent.
friendly guy replied to Nikita's poll,
Uh huh.
and he said, "Where was the last question asking for what people would do? Nearly 50% of responses said it was more engaging, but you didn't show the question where remove Flea entirely was an option. Why?" And Apple said less than 10% wanted the Flea to be gone. The distribution of the answers in the last question basically gives no outcomes or valuable thoughts. And he says, so 49% thought it was better with no Flea, but less than 10% wanted it gone. I have doubts. That's what friendly guy said. So he said, closed Flea and removed Flea is not the same. A lot of people were fine with the Flea closed for 2 to 3 weeks at the start of the wipe, as soon as more barters on traders are provided. Which I think is like reasonable, right? Because like I'm also, unless you're
You talking
doing
about
stuff
this
with the
question?
traders. Hmm.
Oh, it opened up and operate. Talking about this question? What's your opinion on most optimal format of the flea market?
The last one, whichever one that was, or what changes would you make? Because I think there was no answer for, there was no question for like just remove it completely, like remove the flea, delete the flea. They didn't add that as a thing on this one.
Okay.
I think was the point. But anyway, he said only 10% of people want to get rid of it, which I think is fair enough. Like unless you change the traders,
Mm-hmm.
removing the flea for all eternity, I don't think really helps. It's a bit like what I was saying about, with the find and raid hideout thing. It's just like, well, if you're locking the flea for longer, then it doesn't matter so much. You could just like get rid of that requirement, so then people can catch up halfway through. I'm a big fan. Like we have to remember that not everyone plays at the start of the wipe, and on that basis, then also if you turn up like a month in, a whole bunch of people are going to have level 3 and 4 traders, but you're still going to be stuck at level 1 traders with no flea. So I don't think removing the flea for all eternity is a good idea either in the main branch of Tarkov. Even though I would love to see a hardcore Tarkov, but that includes no fleet and no traders, right? There's like both. It means you have to find everything. Or like the traders are like, uber bare bones. That's not how it works in the current state of the game. You don't need the Flea really once you got to max traders. You don't buy that much from the Flea now. You don't really need it because you can buy the ammo you need, you can buy the armor that you need, you can buy the ammo that you want, the magazines, all the mods. The flea market doesn't really make much difference at this point. It's mainly for making money, selling stuff there. So I can see why a lot of people, like, I'm not a person that would say get rid of the fleet in like the main branch of EFT. I don't think it should be gone completely because it allows a catch-up mechanic for people who are starting later. I think the game plays out really nicely at the beginning with no flea.
Yeah.
But once people start getting level 3, like then the disparity between, because like people all start at the same point, right? And then it's like more and more people have the higher level stuff, and then it just makes starting the wipe absolutely miserable. If you're like 2 weeks late or 3 weeks late, or you want to just dip in a month in or whatever, it's just awful. You still have to get to 15. Like getting to 15 is hard enough if you're kind of casual.
I wouldn't want it to be so hyper FOMO focused where it's like, oh my god, guys, I didn't start 1 hour of the wipe. I can't play this wipe. It's such a detriment to get ahead. So I wouldn't want it like that for sure. Of course, that's like a very extreme example.
Of course. Anyway, we'll see. I mean, it looks like BSG are going to keep going with this stuff. I think enough people said that they liked the no flea. I imagine that's probably going to be the case next wipe as well. I don't know exactly what they're going to do in terms of timing or anything. Like, what did people actually say last week? I forget.
I'm gauging for 2 weeks. That'd be my expectation.
Yeah, what do people actually say? Oh wait, no, I don't have it to hand. I don't have it to hand. Yeah, okay, I don't have the results to hand. Whatever. Can't remember what people said about like the 1 month or something. I don't know. But yeah, maybe 2 weeks is a good change for the time being, and I maybe get rid of the finding rate hideout. I don't know. That'd be like a balance that I think would be quite nice.
Yeah, but I mean it's tough because on one hand, like I watch Leviticus's Tarkov quest tier list video, and there was a category for like free XP, which were like the quests where basically you buy your way through,
yeah.
Which is like all the gunsmiths, in practicality, and yeah. Anyways, I mean there's a few of them that are like that, but they're weird. It's like the one for Peacekeeper. We got to hand in. This one's like not fully like this, but you got to hand in MREs, but they don't have to be found in raid.
Yeah.
Like, why is that one like that? Like, that's weird. But I mean, I can only assume that's like a oversight. But it's been like that since Found in Raid was introduced. I don't know. That one's weird.
The number of people that I've told about that in chat, like, I'd say probably every month, I probably get one person being like, "Oh, I'm really stuck on this. Where do you guys find MREs?" I'm like, I know exactly what quest you're talking about. Like when someone like, "Oh, where do you find MREs, people?" I'm just like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know why you need them, and you don't actually need to get them in. And they're like, "Oh my goodness, I'm such an idiot. I've been looking for 3 days." It's like, yeah.
Let me tell you, those are kind of hard to find when you're playing no fleet.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time.
I can imagine.
Yeah, there's some other quests. I was just gonna boot up Tarkov to see, but I don't know. It's like if you remove the flea, hypothetically, then you make all these free XP quests like not free XP, but they're like not even interesting quests to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you just can't flip a switch. It's like you gotta like restructure it, So.
Yep. Okay, and then we got another survey. We'll try and whip through this one. This one's not. We don't have any results. There's no analysis for this guy. This one is the newest racial in-game survey about the Khorovod winter event. And this one is: which main game mode do you play? PvP, PvE, or play both? Pretty obvious. Did you participate in the Khorovod in-game event? So there's a few things. Yes, I completed all the events and the tasks and the achievement. I didn't earn the event achievement. Yes, but I didn't manage to complete the event task, so I didn't participate. I mean, I didn't do the achievement because the actual Khorovod like main task line thing was just like unbearably annoying. And you pretty much needed a team of 5. It's like borderline impossible to do solo. Like loads of people saying that they went in with a team of 5 and they ended up coming out like one person finished it because everyone else died or whatever. Right? It's just like 16 billion scavs. You have to like fix a generator while you're not able to shoot, and it's just like for solo player, it's just not really possible. So I mean, I did a lot of the event tasks, but just a lot of the like other tasks, but not the main achievement one. How difficult was it for you? I put extremely difficult because, to be honest, it actually was as far as these things have gone. The main difficulties being like too many scavs, no teammates, event tasks were too hard, issues with map to map, issues with progressing with frostbite and didn't participate. I think I actually ended up I put no teammates and like issue with map to map because it's just that was one of the things that put me off. Like, a number of people had like issues and errors and whatever. They get to the last map and then it breaks, and I was just kind of like put off with just doing that in general. And the fact that you have to do it all, like it's all part of the same thing. It's like you make something that you have to transit from one place to the next, to the next, to the next. There's no mechanic to pause. It's just like you're going to be playing for like 2 or 3 hours now.
Lock in.
That's it. Yeah. So I was just like, nah, that's not the way. That's not the way. Please direct the Khorovod event task line. Interesting tasks to entice you rewards. Task created a good lore for the event. Tasks were boring. I completed them for the rewards. I completed side tasks instead of the main task. I didn't participate. I mean, I just did. I completed the side tasks because they were valuable. You got GPUs and all sorts of like fun and raid, like cool stuff. There was like the side tasks were really good, but the main task line was just like just too annoying. And then how comprehensible were the mechanics? I think I just said like fairly clear. I had some issues with completing the event because we just used the wiki, so it's never confusing because you just use the wiki.
Oh god.
Yeah. So I don't know whether we'll see the results of this one. I don't really care as much about this one.
Yeah.
If PSG just keep that stuff themselves, then that's fine. But I mean, look, it's fine. I like that they experiment with different stuff. They're obviously big on the transit stuff right now. Like the marathon thing was kind of cool when it was in. They tried that before, but like it is a shame that a lot of these events that involve transits, as I said, are like 3-hour endeavors. It's quite a lot. Like
yeah.
And the fact that the scavs keep spawning until you finish like fixing the thing, like you just need a couple of people. PSG have said that's always the way they want to play the game, and I'm happy to not do it. Right these days, I'm like I've let it go. I'm like I'm over it. I'm not achievement hunting. I don't need every achievement in my account. I'll usually give everything a try, and I'll participate and experience the event. And that these days, that's more important to me. That I've gone in, I've tried it, I've had a go. It was interesting. But when I'm bored, I'm just going to stop. I don't need the digital 0-1 check mark in my account to tell me that I'm a good boy. If I experienced it and I enjoyed myself and I had fun, it's all that matters. I just want to participate in these things and then carry on with our Tarkov life. It's like it's about fun. That don't like flagellate yourself trying to complete this stuff if you don't want to. It really doesn't matter. Okay. What else is there? There's a little clip comp from Nikita, and that's kind of probably the end of the news, I believe. There's a bunch of random stuff in there. The only one thing that I think Church is going to pull it up for those video watchers, and I think there's only one thing in there that is kind of like directly relevant, I believe, which is the Scorpion, which shows up really early. And the number of comments underneath in the chat being just like, cheat and you're adding the Scorpion. Oh no, fix the game, okay? Fix the game.
I mean, that's any
the usual Twitter molding. Yeah, of course, quite funny. It's quite funny. But yeah, it looks like maybe the Scorpion's coming. So new game, new gun, which we'll see.
I love this.
Whether it's going to be any difference.
One of my favorites.
What caliber even is? I'm
that
not
was
sure.
Just kind of because it looks like a PP19 mag. Because the one that comes to mind instantly when I hear this gun and think of this gun is the one from Call of Duty OG Modern Warfare. And that one had like if I recall, it was like curved, kind of like an AK style mag. That gun was so much fun.
It says here on the internet that it's 32 ACP and 380 ACP. Apparently. I don't know whether there's another one that allows you to use it, something that's already in the game. The standard version uses 0.32 ACP, is what it says. I have no idea what else uses this. No clue. But anyway, maybe they'll add it. They don't seem to have any problems adding these things. So, yeah, this 380 ACP is 9x17 short.
Oh,
apparently. It's like another version. This is a civilian semi-auto version.
Oh, gross.
The M84A. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Oh wait, hold on. No, there's some variants here too. There's some variants. There's a 65 in 9x18 and a
Okay.
68 in 9x19. Okay, there we go.
So it's 68 then, presumably.
I don't know. Apparently, according to chat, there's a new handguard for the MDR with an integrated bipod in this video as well. Supposedly. I didn't know what it was. This is like later on. I didn't know what
I missed this.
What it was when I looked at it.
Well, let's get to that.
Oh yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, we'll look at that in a sec. There's another gun. This one. Yeah.
Oh, it's a new handguard.
Can the MDR take a bipod right now? Actually, I feel like maybe it can't. I can't remember.
Does it come with an integrated suppressor or no?
I don't really know.
Wild. That is a really long.
Yeah, you actually can't. Yeah, you can't put a bipod on right now. Actually, I've not used the MDR for ages. It's not a gun I've been using. I used to use I used the 545 version, like literally at the beginning of the wipe. But
I see. It's an integrated handguard. Okay. I mean, integrated bipod.
You can like fold it down out of the handguard. Is that the deal?
Yeah, that's cool.
Nice.
That's neat.
Apparently, the 380 ACP has a straight mag, and the 32 is curved, so that's why it's 380 ACP. Apparently, on the Scorpion. By the way, someone in chat's just telling me.
Oh, so new caliber.
I guess.
Will we get 21 different variants of that caliber? Let's find out.
Probably. This one is 50 damage and 8 pen. This one is 48 damage and 9 pen. This one is 48 damage and 10 pen, but it's minus 5% recoil.
GZPZH01.
Yeah, score. What was the other thing you were pointing out in here? There was something else. Oh, a new map. It looks like some new map bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
There was speculation that it looks like they're like moving a bus somewhere. Someone was speculating that it was looks like an arena map. I know they've got like more arena maps in the works.
Kind of what I was feeling like, because there's a bus moving. Like, I assume that's an animation and not someone dragging an axis to a model. But it's weird because it's like, it kind of looks similar as to like, well, it's not really like the bus stop on Customs, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like a bus. It's just weird because like there's a fencing and there's like a canyon / chasm rock thing. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. I mean, could it be anywhere else in the main maps? Don't know. Could it be part of Terminal? I guess it's plausible.
That was what I was kind of thinking. I mean, hear me out. Lighthouse rework.
I mean, could be. Yeah, put a massive. We've added a chasm. Enjoy. So, the usual Nikita style compilation teases of who knows what's going on.
Yeah, I assume it's an arena map, but we'll see. Was there anything else in here like super noteworthy? I don't think so. I feel like I've seen this footage
just clips of them making Rigi. Yeah, they're doing like the latest Rigi stuff. I think those ones are older ones actually.
Yeah,
like bits of their partisan actor standing up with 1 million cameras.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's basically it. I think that's it. All right. So next big point on the list today is DLSS. The update to DLSS. This is good, but as usual, it is convoluted and fraught with controversy and painful because we play a BSG game and we hate ourselves, and that's why we do this. Why would?
Oh, I see.
No other reason, right? No other reason. So the long and the short of it is that NVIDIA have updated. I'm not a super expert, so if I get any of it wrong, then I'm going to say really light on the details.
Happily, actually you.
Yeah, yeah. So NVIDIA have updated one of what they refer to as the transformer models for their DLSS versions. The latest version is version K, which is referred to as latest within the drivers. But what this does effectively, the the very short version is it allows you to use DLSS 4 in games that it is whitelisted for. So this is the new version, which I believe it's some way connected to frame generation. However, frame gen obviously you can only use in games where it's enabled. Tarkov is not a game where frame generation is enabled, so it's not like integrated within the NVIDIA drivers or anything like that. So you can't turn it on in game natively or using the NVIDIA's like app or anything like that. But the thing about DLSS 4 is that it is a better version of the previous ones. So the transformer model makes the upscaling more robust. It means that there's less artifacts. It's just it's a software update to DLSS basically that makes it better. Now this does mean that you can use it on any card that previously allowed DLSS. So if you were using DLSS already, you can do this. You don't need like a 3 series or 4 series, like 30 series or 40 series NVIDIA cards to make it work. However, there is a small caveat that it may hit performance slightly, a little bit, because of the way that it is a slightly more complicated AI model to do it. I don't think you'll see any performance difference on 30 and 40 series, I don't believe, but on like 20 series stuff you may do because they don't have as many tensor cores or whatever, or they're not as sophisticated or something along those lines. But apparently it's very, very good. From the feedback that I've seen, people have said that the new model makes performance look like the old version of quality, which is pretty cool, and that quality now is like way better. It's awesome. Like the shimmering is less, there's a bit less, it's still not completely gone on ghosting or anything like that, but it's less than it was. Now one of the unfortunate parts about the way that it's implemented in EFT, if anyone's ever played a Grey Zone or Warfare, in that game you have performance, balance, and quality, but you also have native as well as one of the options. Tarkov does not have native as one of the options for whatever reason. They just didn't build it in at the time, because all the differences between the different presets is how low can you go? Like how low does it take the res? So the way DLSS works is it renders in a lower res, and then it uses AI black box black magic to upscale to your native res so that it's less GPU intensive is pretty much the idea, and give you better frames. But in Tarkov, it is questionable as to how much it gives you, because Tarkov's mostly CPU bound. So that's normally why people end up using quality. Tarkov has the other problem, which is the anti-aliasing in EFT is not very good. The implementations in at the moment, TAA and FXAA, are kind of garbage. And so DLSS reduces some of the problems with anti-aliasing, but introduces some other problems such as ghosting. Now, if you're using native, what you effectively get there is DLSS's like implementation of how it does anti-aliasing without the scaling. It basically, like, the DLSS thing allows you to kind of ratchet the scale up and down of what your render resolution is before it does the upscale, right? To like reduce pressure on the GPU. And in Grey Zone Warfare, you can actually see what that number is. It's like, I can't remember exactly, but it's like 40 something percent for performance and like 50 odd for balance, and then 66 or something for quality. I think it's something like that anyway. But in EFT, you could arguably run native res with DLAA, as they call it, DLA, because it's not really DLSS anymore, because it's not doing any upscaling. It's just doing the anti-aliasing part, and that would remove any ghosting because it's not doing any AI upscale. You're just getting the AA piece, which would be kind of cool. Now BSU would actually have to put that in. At the moment, there's no way to get that. That you can't even fiddle around with the stuff, because there's a whole bunch of people talking about fiddling around with things, and you can't even you can't make that work because it's not the scaling to 100 isn't in some level that BSU would need to put it in to actually make it function. It needs to be an option, otherwise you can't do it. But needless to say, playing on quality with that, I haven't actually done it myself yet. I'm probably going to do it after this cast. I didn't have time yet over the weekend to have a play with it. But you have to like do a bunch of stuff in your NVIDIA control panel. There is a guide. I think Clementine, who we had on Scav Talk the other day, I basically said to him, please make a guide. And I think he was doing it anyway, but he put out like a full video with all the stuff in it. Now, you basically have to you have to reinstall the NVIDIA drivers to make them latest. You have to reinstall the NVIDIA app if it doesn't work and doesn't show it. It's not like, it doesn't seem completely seamless yet. It's like a little, like sometimes the option doesn't appear, like it's not perfect. But Tarkov is whitelisted for this. Tarkov is whitelisted for this update. So if it's not whitelisted, NVIDIA app won't let you do it, right? But it is actually whitelisted. But there's been some controversy and some confusion over what is allowed, what isn't allowed, because before NVIDIA updated their app, you were actually able to do this before the official update came through by replacing the DLSS like DLL with the updated version. And people were doing that and being like, well, it's, you know, you're all you're doing is like allowing it to use the new DLSS 4, and it was working. And there's a whole bunch of controversy because it stopped working, and people were like, did BSG turn it off? Did something in BattlEye happen? I don't really know. And some people were like, sometimes you can make it launch, sometimes BattlEye stops the game from launching because it's like a file that's, you know, part of the system that doesn't expect, and so it says no, you can't launch the game. But sometimes it lets you do it anyway. Very confusing.
I actually tried it this way, and I probably did mess something up because there's a lot of different steps, and the launcher gave me a game integrity error, so it had to repatch itself and replace the OG DLL file.
Yeah, so there was a big Reddit thread about it, about how to do it, what to do. Like, I was just like, well, I'm just going to wait for now. I'm not going to mess around with it like right this minute when it's potentially you're going to get like, if there's a very tiny risk that you're going to get accidentally like caught in the huge trawler fishing net that is BattlEye, then I just don't think it's really worth it because you're like replacing files and stuff. But this then led to some confusing rhetoric out of BSG because people, I think people like ask BSG questions and expect them to say yes, which I always think is like crazy. Like BSG are not incentivized to say yes, and there's a lot of conversations happening in the official Discord. People being like, "Can we use the new DLSS 4?" It's just all a bit confusing. So like one of the mods, there's an actual like message from one of the mods here. I haven't sent it to you, Church, but it says, I'm tired of muting people over it. Don't inject the driver update. It does modify game files. This breaks TOS. What others are saying is true. Read the pinned comments. So there was like a whole bunch of like drama going on in the actual Discord. So, but then like a bunch of people were then questioning about like, well, are we allowed to actually use this thing in NVIDIA app? And other people being like, well, it's definitely like it's in the NVIDIA app, like it's whitelisted for EFT, so you must be able to use it. But now there's this floating question over stuff because people have asked stupid questions in the official Discord and they've said no. Obviously, like BSG are going to say no. Like if you say like, oh, can I replace files? They're going to say no. It doesn't matter what it is. Like that. Like don't ask it. Like you're actually better off not even asking them. Honestly,
Sadly,
like, you're better off not asking them.
True. I mean, I could see how it's like, you want to do a good thing, but in the end, BSG doesn't. Like, even the low-level people probably don't want to invest their time into figuring out this for you if you're able to do this, like, very niche thing, Because not many people, your average person doesn't go replacing DLL files, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, it's kind of niche, very niche, and, I mean, it like my kind of interpretation is it sounded like one of the Discord moderators thought that people were trying to use DLSS tweaks, which is like a repository on GitHub or like on Nexus Mods. You can find it, and it's basically prior to the NVIDIA app update. Like the official NVIDIA support, you could update older files, but that was with 3.5 or whatever, not the latest DLSS 4. But
right.
Anyways, and for again, as you said, someone asked, it's like even if someone did look into it, like did due diligence, it's kind of a gray area because like you are replacing a DLL, and typically that's like one of the ways hackers try to manipulate code is either injecting code into a DLL or like having their own DLL to inject code or hooking into a DLL. So yeah, I mean I can understand why from BSG's position it's just like the easiest thing to do is say absolutely not, we're going to ban this. It's like it actually reminds me of you remember when they had that
I know exactly what you're talking about already.
The color desktop profile management thing, yep. ICC. I can't remember what it was called. WMP, I think. Like someone, and I feel so bad because it's like some content creator who like did like Warzone videos, had like a friend through a
Was
friend.
this Art is War? That guy?
Yeah. He had like a friend through a friend that knew Trey or someone, one of those guys, and he like knew of Tarkov, but he's like he worked on Breaking Bad or maybe it was this Breaking Bad and the follow up series with can't El Camino, I think it was called. Anyways, he knows a lot about cinematography and color and coloring, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and he made this app with someone else, I think, and it was just like this amazing thing. You could like change your profiles like mid raid basically, and it was just like. And then as soon as BSG catches wind of it, just like, okay, we're gonna disable this thing, and then the creator's like, well, guys, I'm not gonna sit here and fight with these guys. This is what they want to do. They want to do, and I honestly it wouldn't be surprised if someone at BSG sent him like threats or something like we're gonna take legal action or whatever. I don't. I mean, this might be way too conspiratorial, but yeah, because he just like he gave up. He rolled over so quick, which I can't really blame him because like
Yeah.
he's trying to do a cool thing, and it was a really cool thing. Um, and then he just gets like instantly shut down and destroyed from BSG.
Yeah, I think BSG gets scared about this stuff because like that, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're very like hardline about that. Anything that's like manipulating anything or changing the game, whatever, because they feel like I imagine they feel like if they let anything through, it's like the thin end of the wedge, right? So they're just kind of like anything that we don't really understand or like don't really know, like
Exactly.
some weird program or whatever. So we're just gonna say like because in that case even they were like, well, we can't stop people actually doing it, like actually because you can't detect the change,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's a monitor level setting
Yeah.
ultimately, but you have to change it in Windows, right? And so most casual users of this thing were just using the program. So BSG's official response was basically, "Don't do this. We don't want you doing this, but we can't detect it. We're gonna ban that program so that BattlEye won't let Tarkov open if that program's open. But theoretically, you could make another program and call it something
Right.
else and
Right.
just like do it, have it be slightly different and then run that and then
You,
you'd never know. But BSG's response is basically just like, we'll just ban the easy thing.
mm-hmm.
Just no, just stop it. Just stop it. Just stop doing it. Is like BSG's response. That's kind of like this as well. Like I sort of I get it. I do kind of get it. It's like the BSG's response on this should really have been. This is the thing. If they thought about it before, I mean, I guess this stuff blows up out of nowhere, right? It's hard to know what is going to suddenly become a big deal. But their official statement should have been, "It's coming. Wait, just wait for it. Stop injecting stuff into the
Well,
game and just wait for the official thing."
I
That should have
mean,
been their proper official response, I think, because otherwise it's just like all sort of hand wavy and no one really knows, and the mods are saying one thing and then people are saying something else, and it's just a mess.
I assume this mod, you know, I've never been a Discord moderator before, so I can only imagine what that's like. Um, and I don't know what's going on, but like someone who's maybe a little bit higher up in the chain, like Applezor. Let's see if I can rescale this so it fits. Here we go. Uh, his response was, "I asked the dev team this question earlier today. Didn't have a reply so far. Unity 2020 definitely gives, or 2022 definitely gives more room and possibilities there, but I would strongly recommend to not upscale anything by yourself, as this is file modification, which is like a you know a more neutral response than what the Discord community server moderator. He was like, don't inject driver update because it's so
Yeah.
bizarre to me that the NVIDIA app comes out, they redid their GeForce experience. Now it's the NVIDIA app. It like runs better, does more features. Great. Then they roll out this new feature of DLSS 4. Gamers rejoice. We get this awesome like override with certain whitelisted games, right? Like Tarkov is listed in there. It's a whitelist. Like I can like I want to as I feel like a part of me is okay assuming with that there was some type of like communication. Maybe they just had like an internal list of all their customers or people that were using DLSS, older versions, outdated versions, and but I don't know. Like, I mean, who's on the blacklist? Is there a
Yeah.
blacklist? I guess it doesn't really matter either way. It's like they're on the list. You're on the list, PSG. I'm like,
Exactly.
what are you gonna do? And
Exactly.
I don't know. Like, obviously there may be room for a more official higher up statement from like Nikita or someone else, but I don't know. The whole thing's just kind of like roll my eyes because the other thing that frustrates me about this is like you'll see people be like, "Oh my god, am I gonna get banned for using lossless scaling, you guys?" It's like no,
Yeah.
no, and it's like this fear mongering from this like BSG. I don't even know what you would call it.
I don't know. Like genuinely, for BSG would like they'd rather not say anything than say yes.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
it's
you know
just
what I mean?
frustrating because as like an end user, it's like you care about this. Meanwhile, slurs and someone's name is like prone flying through the map. Like, just like. And meanwhile, it's
Yeah,
like that stuff's going on. It's like, but this is what you're like dying on the hill for. It's just it's frustrating. It's like
I understand. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. This is easy to deal with. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, yeah, that's the flying man. Not so easy to deal with.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I get
I think
it.
the
It's
long.
like cover your bases. If this is like, if like DLO injection is like the easiest thing to stop, I get it. But like, I don't know. It's annoying.
Yeah, I feel the long and the short of it is for me, I wouldn't be changing any like DLLs personally.
Yeah.
But now that it is in the Nvidia app directly, like
Right.
yeah, you have to do some updates and whatever, but like you're changing that all within whatever the hell they call it these days. What even is
Hmm.
it? The GeForce experience is it, or like in
No,
the
it's NVIDIA app
what one of
now.
them? Or is it in the actual Nvidia like main Nvidia app thing?
So it's not the control panel. It's NVIDIA app. GeForce Experience is now NVIDIA app. GeForce Experience is dead, gone, boom, roasted. Now I got the
Do
NVIDIA
I even
app.
have? Is it just called? Oh, it's just called Nvidia. Oh, okay.
Yeah, NVIDIA
I didn't
app.
realize.
But
Well, there
yeah.
you go. But now it's officially in there. I'm
Hmm.
kind of like, well, I'm pretty sure you can turn that on just fine. Like Clementine was basically saying, look, I am now going to be using it all the time. If I get banned, so be it. But I really don't think I will be. It'd be very weird because EFT is is whitelisted on this thing within the
Yeah.
Nvidia app. Like you can only turn it on for whitelisted games. There must have been some communication between BSG and Nvidia because otherwise they wouldn't have turned it on. So it doesn't
I
make
can
sense.
only
Like it
assume.
must be the DLL adding, injecting, blah 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 thing that they have a problem with, right? If you're using Nvidia's app, I'm sure it's fine. And if it's not, then they'll get Nvidia to disable it for exactly the same reason as like reshade is disabled in
Yeah.
on the Nvidia
Yeah.
side because you're not allowed to use that in EFT, and the same with Rust, I believe. So like that will happen later, but it's officially in there, so it's fine as long as you're not like you're not doing any file tampering or anything like that. You're like using Nvidia's app, so I'm 99% certain that it's okay.
Yeah. And yeah,
Never be 100.
if it's not, I'm sure we'll get some type of resolution at some point, but I can't imagine that. Um, I was, however, experimenting with a bunch of stuff, and I may delve back down the rabbit hole and see. But I was looking at, all these various tools to do it a different way. With the DLSS
Hmm.
tweaks, the NVIDIA Profile Inspector, etc. And I did manage to get some progress, but I couldn't get I think I was able to get preset J working,
Hmm.
which now there's
That's not the
K.
latest one though, right?
No, 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 no. Yeah. So I need to try that. But um the thing I was really trying to get working is DLAA, sorry, like native upscaling. And one of
Yeah.
the things I was trying to do is like change the parameters for quality because I think quality is like 0.6666666, repeating till like 7 scaling, right? So like the game renders
Hmm.
at 66% and then AI upscales up to your native res. I was like, what if I could get it? Because you can't force the typical ones are like, okay, we're gonna force all presets to 1, but like it won't work. So I was like, what if I can force because then you could go in individually and say, what if I could force quality like 0.9999999? So it's like basically,
Yeah.
but I couldn't get anything to change. I don't know. I'd have to mess with it some more, but it's such a. I have no idea what's actually changing and not changing. How does NVIDIA Profile Inspector work over like the NVIDIA app? Because it's like I just don't even know. So it's weird.
Yeah, but I mean, my understanding of it is that you can't right now, I believe, but maybe there's a way. I don't know.
Not
Maybe there's a way.
officially.
I don't
for
know
sure.
either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, not officially. Yeah. But man, I bet Tarkov will look so good like that.
Yeah, I imagine. Honestly, most of us have got GPU headroom.
Yeah, honestly, I hardly see a difference between performance and quality. Like it's any type of gains in frames, which is like Lighthouse is like the only one. But like the performance difference or like the visual difference isn't that much, so it's like not even worth. You know what I mean? It's like quality doesn't look that good.
You put it on quality because it's fine, and it's like you put it on quality because performance doesn't get you any extra FPS because you're CPU bound anyway, so it doesn't make any difference
how low you scale.
You could scale it down to 10:7.
I was trying.
And, it was.
I was trying like 1% scaling. Also, I was like, I wonder what that's gonna look like. Can you imagine?
It probably looks like a fever dream.
I wanted to see it.
I'm sure there's like places that you can go, and I'm sure there's games you're able to do that in.
Yeah,
but you might be able to do it in lossless scaling actually. Probably. If you want to see like the true craziness of AI. I said before, right? I tried lossless scaling and I thought it was absolutely garbage for Tarkov just because of the latency. You just can't. And it's like it's like the worst possible implementation of AI upscaling and frame gen because it's like outside of the game. It's like it doesn't have all of the information that like the NVIDIA card has, like with all the NVIDIA software and stuff. It can't be integrated in. It's like externally looking at the photograph and then going, okay, let's add another frame here. Right? It doesn't know anything else. It has as little information as it's possible to have about this stuff.
I saw I had an update. Oh, it's got frame gen. Okay, I was curious if they were able to get like DLSS models or something, but I guess probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I tried it with frame gen just to see what it was like, and it was.
Well, I
wouldn't say it was unplayable, but it's just not very good.
Does it have upscalers?
Yeah. That was the first bit. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if through that you could do some tomfoolery.
I mean, I'm sure you could, but I don't think there's any point.
Well, if you leave out the frame gen, maybe you could get something. Anyways, it's
maybe, but yeah.
The DLL mining, it's the meme where the guy's mining and at the end of the tunnel there's DLL or D.
Are you thinking like you just turn off all anti-aliasing and then you somehow do like a 99%, like if it can bring in I can't remember what models they actually had in it. I forget.
I know
I need to go back and look again.
AMD one. I don't remember if there's a because I think the AMD one, FSR or whatever, is more like open source / easy. Like it isn't proprietary.
Yeah.
But for the NVIDIA's one, I imagine you're gonna need licensing and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
I guess so. Yeah, I can't remember what was possible in there. I mean, I had a look to see what they had, and it was fine. But yeah, maybe there's something to that. I don't know. That's actually an interesting thing. I didn't really try that, but yeah, they're trying to replace anti-aliasing. Really, like that's really what you're trying to do, right? To replace AA.
Yeah, just make the game look cleaner. It's actually super interesting because I was actually before this cast, I've been messing with aliasing and learning stuff, and it's just pixels are pixels. You guys. Pixels be pixeling.
Yeah, there's a whole Reddit. I think there's a Reddit called like fuck TA.
Yeah, I found that today. I was like, oh my god, there's a whole Reddit dedicated to TA.
And it's it's like a whole Reddit that's like 18,000 people like dedicated to hating TAA. and
which
how to like get rid of it. And
yeah,
yeah,
which is like kind of it kind of took me aback, but I mean, I kind of get it because of all the temporal solutions are just it comes with baggage, right? Like even the
yeah.
Nvidia one, like I actually it's funny because I used the boss site and I had DLSS on, and you know the new one that came out a couple weeks ago that's like it's got a laser device on top with like different modes, and then it's got like two little parentheses and then a dot in the middle. It's called the Boss
Uh,
EXCS,
oh yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, that one with DLSS, it goes real bad, like the worst. And on the
Mm.
preset J model, it was pretty good. Like it was much better.
Huh.
Like it would have a little bit of ghosting, but it was more like wasn't like multiple frames of ghosting. It was like if you swung really
Yeah.
fast, it would get like a solid couple of frames of ghosting. But
And I bet A is probably even better.
yeah, I need to try it. I definitely need to try it. I need to set
Yeah.
that up. So talk to me about Max
Fascinating.
Traders Vector. You know, I'm a couple levels behind that.
Yeah, nearly there though, nearly there. So yeah, I did manage to get up to max traders. I'm now level 43. I basically ended up. So I had a really hard time with Punisher this fight for some reason. I don't really know why. Punisher Part 4 was. Oh, it's always quite hard being on Lighthouse. You know,
I
it's a
know
difficult
why.
one. I
Lighthouse.
I really do think that one should be changed to somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, like we had a few conversations in chat about it, just being like, you know, should they like, would it be too easy if they just said everywhere, not but not factory? Like, is that like valid? Or would you do like, you know, go back to the OGs like Lighthouse or Shoreline or like Reserve, something like that, like make 3 maps or something like that? I don't know. Would it be like too bad to just? Is that too easy to make it like everything everywhere? Because
What
then you
is the
just like
PMC
wander
one?
around.
You gotta wear a scav vest and a helmet.
Scab balaclava.
Oh, balaclava. Yeah.
Yeah, the next one is the helmet one, but yeah, so like Scabfest Balaclava, like it's not really like Balaclava is like not a restriction, and it's just a
Yeah.
Scabfest thing. If you made it anywhere,
Why not just delete
you would
that part of it? Like, just kill 10
if
PMCs anywhere. Why is the scav?
if
Anyways, never mind.
if you made it anywhere, you could technically combine it with setup.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
In theory, now, I don't know whether that would be good or not, or whether that would make it like even worse, whether the setup would
Mm.
be like even more annoying. I don't really know, but you could combine it together because you could wear a balaclava and a scab vest. You need a scab vest for setup anyway. You just then need to wear a Ushanka and a shotgun. So you got like this. The only thing is balaclava. I normally wear one anyway, so you'd be able to like combine them. So I don't know whether like forcing you to do them on different places is a good idea. You know, I don't know. I'm not sure. We give an option for like min maxers to go to customs if they wanted to, I suppose, and like try to do it with the shotgun. You just don't really lose anything. Like there's no trade off there. It's just like you probably should just do it on customs then, because you're already wearing like the restrictive item, which is the scab vest. So it almost makes it like a no brainer. And I don't know, is that good or is that like, or is that too easy? I'm not sure. Anyway, like that took a long time. The last raid, there's a very final raid. I needed one more kill on Lighthouse, which is like the classic, right? When you need one more kill, you're like, oh, I just need one more kill, especially on a map like Lighthouse, where you can't just like run in and just like, oh, YOLO it for like 3 raids and just get a kill. Like
Right.
Lighthouse isn't like that. You'll just, if you YOLO it 3 raids in a row, you'll just die 3 times on Lighthouse. So it's, you know, you got to still like play careful, whatever. You like, you know, you'll need one, and then you get your opportunity, and you're like, you want to force it. Anyway, I played and like saw this dude off spawn, shot him a bit, and he was like bleeding out on the other side of the hill, and he pleaded for his life. He was pleading
Oh, I saw
so
that.
bad. He was like, dude, I just want to do my thing. Like, he like had his knife out. He was like, I'm not, don't want to expose you anything. And I was like, oh my god, I
Please,
have to
and I'm
let this
on
guy
this
go.
god awful map. Please, I
Yeah,
just need.
yeah, I know. And he was so, but he really did not want me to kill him. And I was like, I just don't have the heart. I literally have 1 kill left. And I said, I've only
Wow.
got 1 kill left, but no. Like, okay, fine, you can go. So I let him go. So it took me like another couple of raids to get into good position. And I took the SVT, bizarrely, because I had it in my stash, because I've been looking at it for the kind of like budget weapons video that I did, which
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoyed making that video quite a lot, because there's a lot of guns now, and there's actually a lot of things that are viable. And normally I'm just like, here's the five best budget guns, that I think are good. And I kept being like, oh, but what about this one? Oh, but what about that one? What about this one? And I ended up with like 10, 11 guns on the list. And I was like, man, these are all good and these are all like usable. I really like the weapon balance right now. It's quite decent. You can get some really good stuff for low prices, and um, but SVT, I was like, fine, well, I've got one, so we'll just pick it up and just go with it just to see. And I was like, down towards sort of Sniper Rock, that kind of beach area, and heard like a bunch of shooting. I run across the road, see a guy there's like two people up on the hill, shoot one of them with the SVT in the head, just bam, like it makes it, it's the loudest noise of all time, the SVT. So it's the SVT wooden stick variety. So it's just, I had like a whole bunch of PS, don't really know why. So that just like goes straight through Class 4 helmets. So that guy just like killed him and did the quest. So I was like, okay, this is cool. It's like wheeled around through to the village, like if you go along the river, along the edge of like the village. I was going along there, and then I'm like just looting a few bits. I'm like, we'll just take our time. It's fine. We'll just get out, and it's like no big deal. Then I hear like a load of steps coming kind of from the mayor's house, and I was like, oh god. Like turn around, the guy like tries to like jump over the fence, doesn't really know that I'm there, and I just like light him up with the SVT from like point blank. I bought one 15 round AVT mag, so I had like a 15 round mag. It's pretty powerful. Like it's decent. It's not bad. Like your optics limited, but you could take the Mosin scope on and off and use the irons. It's honestly not. It's really not as bad as I thought it would be when I tried it, because I was like, oh, I may as well look at this because it's so cheap relative. And it was actually all right. So I killed that guy as well, and he had an arse ass. So I took that. I was like, fine, I'll use that instead. Wheeled all the way around, and I was like, right, well, there was a duo like wandering through the tops of the hills. There can't be anybody else up there, surely. There's no way. And like look up, and there's a guy like with an MP7 or something like on that like the final descent path down towards like path to shoreline. And I was like, no way, dude, kill him, like wheel around. I'm just like, how many more people could there possibly be? And then it's like turned out it was one of my long time like chatters on Twitch. And he like comes into chat. It was Joe Bishop, and he was just like, you just killed me on Lighthouse. I was like, oh my god. He's like, I didn't even know we were in the same raid. I was like, what were you waiting there for? Like, I just killed two people around that area. It's crazy. So anyway, like it's a classic luck of getting onto one kill left and then killing like 3 players in one raid. You have your best raid when 2 of them you don't actually even need. Oh, which is just absolutely classic. But yes, that took a while. But then like Punisher Part 5, I usually really enjoy. And
which one is that?
To factory.
Oh, that's
so it's the Packer and a Ratnik helmet.
Yeah.
And the winter one doesn't count, but the other 2 do. So you could do the bleach barter for the like it's not the olive one, it's the EMR, I think it is. Whatever I do, it's a kind of grey kind of color. I'm not really sure what EMR even stands for. Probably go and have a look. EMR cover. What is this? What's that even stand for? It says EMR in brackets digital flora. Maybe it means digital flora in Russian. I'm not sure. But anyway, so it's like digital flora one rather than the olive green kind of shiny version. So that one does work, but the winter one doesn't. But you can barter for the bleach for that, so it's like 20k per helmet. And usually I just run in and do that on factory. I just take an SMG and I just trade with people until eventually I get it completed. And I think I must have played 10, 11 raids. Sorry, I just read a comment. Diego, if after Lighthouse I'd eat the bleach. Anyway, so went to factory, and I think I must have played like 12 raids or something, and I got 1 kill.
Oh my!
1. I did so badly. I took like the MCX. I took a Meta M4, shorty Meta M4. I took an MPX at one point. I tried everything. AK-104 with PP.
MP7,
and I just
the Giga Classic.
I didn't try the MP7 because I didn't have FMJ unlocked at that time, because you have to do import for it, and I hadn't rolled enough times in the scav, this cultist circle to get the thing yet, and so I only had JSP. So I don't really.
You're not going to go to Lighthouse.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was really really rough, and I was like, man, I normally enjoy this quest, and this was genuinely horrible. And I think the way that New Factory plays out now, it's just really tough. You can't just run around. Like I kind of play it like it's Chop Shop on Arena, right? And it's just like you can't do that. You just die to somebody in the rafters, somebody where like the map is more usual now. It's more normal Tarkov, and you can't get away with what you used to be able to on Old Factory, I don't think.
I think the word you're looking for is ratty.
Yeah, it is. It is more, definitely.
I kind of like it though.
It's a bit bigger. Like
I do miss.
I don't mind. I think
I do miss the old like arena style factory. Like you pop off the spawn, you know exactly the timings. You know, you run here, left. You know, it's just like very chess-like, but I do kind of enjoy when it's not, when I'm not getting Tarkov. I do kind of enjoy the more slower tactical pace. It feels like you have to play, but it
Yeah.
definitely does. Like, oh my god, I was on a scav raid on the outside bit, opposite of office, and
Hmm.
there's these like, you got like these big, classic Russian like cube-like cylinder, or not cylinder, but cube-like windows, right?
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of little cubes that make them up, and there will be like a couple of set of them that are just like punched out, and I had to get her suppressed. Or no, it was PMC. That's what it was. When I was shooting at scabs because we were late in the raid, but
Yeah.
I had no idea where they were getting shot from, and I got this little caterpie just from these little holes
Which
in
is
the glass. Yeah, it was crazy.
Kedaby's good. Kedaby's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in the end, I just had such a hard time there, and I was like, fine. We're just I want to be playing with some different guns, whatever. And I was like, let's just take the Vector. I'm going to take the 45 Vector. We've got AP now. We're just going to go. And it was great. I had a great time with the Vector. It was so good. I even took it to like a bunch of other different maps as well. I just wanted this like Vector spree. It's why I ended up making the video about it, because I made one relative like not that long ago, last wipe, but
Mm-hmm.
normally by the time I get to the Vector, I'm just like, oh, I'm kind of bored and just doing like off meta stuff and doing like rip ammo, shoot people in the legs and things like that. But I was like, well, if the prevailing armor is like 4 and sometimes 5 now, the Vector with AP is probably going to absolutely own people, and it's so it's so good. It's genuinely so good. I love it. I even took it to Woods. I had a hilarious raid on Woods where I took like this horrible boomstick Mosin that I got off this guy that I didn't want to sell just because I thought it was funny. So I just took it with. I just like they got the classic sight on it as well, the PU sight. And I got that and a Vector, and I was just running around and getting chased. I got like chased through the forest from I don't even know where. It was like it was crazy how far we went. Up by like Dickhead Rock. There's that tree that's like lying down. As you're kind of going from Dickhead Rock over to the convoy, there's like a up on the hill bit. There's like there's like a laid down tree. It was like I thought like a guy there killed him, and they got chased by this other person and some other bolty guy like over through the convoy, past the cultist circle, like continue going on like all the way through over like through like at the attachments shack like out to the other side. I was just like, oh my god! And then yeah, eventually this guy's like chasing me. He's got bolt action, and eventually like he chases like slightly too far, and I'm just like, you're in range now, boy. You're gonna be in a world of pain, and I just like pop out from behind the thing and just like just empty like a full mag of AP at 1100 RPM, and people just like freeze up. They're suddenly just like, oh crap, like I've been caught in the trap, It's just like
The
like oh
Vector
no, I'm
trap.
so weak. No, I'm so weak. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then it's yeah, as soon as they come too close, it's like the scorpion strikes. So it was good. So even like Vector on Woods is actually quite funny, even though it's probably not really ideal. I think having 2 guns makes it okay, but yeah, it's been entertaining, and it definitely saved my Punisher Part 5. Like it's so good. But like I did the whole video about it, but it's just like so many amazing things. Like yeah, the mags are small, but like the RPM is crazy. AP is just like on tap, basically. The ammo does like 60 something damage, so it's like one of the only SMGs that hits straight through a class 4 helmet when it does actually pen, because the pen's like 39 or 38 anyway. It's like a 66% chance to go through a class 4 helmet in the first place. It kills them with if it goes through, it kills them in one shot regardless of the distance, even at 100 meters. Like that doesn't happen with anything else, right? FMJ won't one shot people through class 4, neither will SS190. Not like there's none of like hardly any of these SMG bullets will go through and actually do enough damage to kill somebody, because they get damage mitigated. And what's FMJ got, like 40 something? So it's just like it goes below 35 so easily. Whereas this thing just has so much, it's got so much damage. And then you can use it for leg meta if you want to. And then the mags pack fast, and you can bring loads of them and fill the rest of it with FMJ because that's dirt cheap. And I've just been using it unsuppressed and just like relishing in the havoc and the noise. I did like I took it to interchange to try and do the like what's it called? The one where you have to
Chumming?
wear the
Oh,
gas mask. It was sort of chumming, but mainly decontamination. That was it.
yeah.
Decontamination service. I took it there, and I did one raid on interchange. I think I'd got like a couple of kills before, but I'm now on 35 out of 40. I think I killed like 28 scavs or something. So like I sat in one of the things unsuppressed,
Oh
with
my
just like
god.
I had like 2 stacks of AP. I think I'm now bringing 6 mags for the Vector, is how I go with
Yeah.
it. Got 2 mags of AP, 2 mags of like top stacked AP, 2 mags of FMJ. They're all color coded. I've got 2 stacks of AP in my butt, and I've got 2 stacks of FMJ like in my rig. And it's just like it's just kill, top up, kill, top up, kill, top up,
Yeah,
kill, top up,
yeah.
just constant. And I think I actually nearly ran out of ammo. It's one of the reasons why I had to leave, even despite like the amount that I brought. I was like, it was like 6 times 30, 180 plus another 200, so 380 rounds, and I nearly ran out.
That
It was
is
good fun.
that is the one gun that is like anti-potato PCs, because if you're playing at like 30 FPS and you got like crappy setup, all this latency and stuff, stutters, you're gonna hit the button and then you're gonna get like a stutter, or like the frame's gonna not update and you're gonna miss all your shots, or by the time the mag's empty you're still holding down the button, or by the time he's dead you're still holding down the button but you can't see it.
Yeah, I think that's one of like the worst things about it, is that because you don't instantaneously get the feedback about whether somebody's dead because of like ping, desync latency, whatever it might be. Like you can't pull off the trigger too soon, otherwise you might not kill them, right? But it's like by the time you've just like overkilled them by like 10 bullets.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an expensive gun to run in terms of ammo, but like you can kind of sprinkle it. It's all right. FMJ's still not too bad. And there are like budget ways of doing it. When I was looking through on my budget guns one, it's like, well, you could just like Hydra shock people in the legs if you want, and that stuff is only, what is it, like $1.20 per round? That's pretty good. Yeah, you got some compromises to be made there, but what did I say? What was that? The damage on that thing? 100. Like it's 100 damage a shot. Like that is no joke. It's seriously no joke, regardless of the pen. Right? If
they're not wearing neck armor,
shot kill.
One shot to the chest. No neck
armor.
Yeah,
if they're not wearing neck armor, they will just die to the chest. If it's, I mean, what's the pen on it? It's not very high. It's like 13. Okay, so it'll go through condors, but not through like a class 2 neck. So they're wearing 6p13. It won't go through.
If it doesn't get bounced off or whatever that the condors can do, they have like a high. God,
they got like a good ricochet chance or something. Yeah.
I already have my meta loadout. You got the condors on, you got the face shield on for the cry precision frame, then you got the class 3 ear jaw protection, so they got to go through like multiple layers. If I can fit a face, can you fit a face mask on that? The skull face. That would be like even more. The half mask skull one that's like class 2?
Yeah.
I gotta add like
shadow.
A death shadow, that's it. Yeah, I gotta add even more layer. Take off the glasses, put on the death shadow.
Yeah. No, it's good. It is good. I had a little fiddle with the P90 as well, which is actually also pretty good. That was decent. I did kill some guy. Must have been so mad. I killed some guy wearing like full Zabralo with all classics plates and like the masker, but he was wearing like the olive masker. But he was like facing the wrong. We were like moving around, and that's probably the worst type of fight for this guy, right? Because he like can't see properly. But like fighting in like factory stairwell, and I'm like running up and down, maneuvering around, like being just like all over the place as you can be, like through the hole in the floor, whatever. And then he thought I was coming up the stairs, but I came like the way that he wasn't expecting, like down the stairs, rather than like, I think he thought I went like underneath and then up or something, but then I actually came like down or something like that. And he was facing like down the stairwell, so I shot him from the side, and it was just like bang bang, 2 shots, and he just went straight down and died. And people were like, how did you kill him through the mask? I'm just like, you gotta remember, it's only class 4 on the side, right? The guy's like facing the wrong way, so if you don't hit them in the face shield, it's like wearing a TC2000 too. Like, an SS190 won't kill you in 1 shot, but it'll kill you in 2 shots. And I was like 2 feet from this guy. So it was just, 900 RPM, P90, killed him, ripped all his stuff onto me, and just left.
You consumed him and became him and left.
Yeah, pretty much. Became the guy and then leave. So it's fun. But yeah, I mean, the Vector's been so cool. It's been so good. And so you don't even have to do anything. I genuinely don't even know if it's worth changing the stock out. Like, I literally am just like buying it. I put Cobra on it, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it is. I think the min-maxer in me can't help but do. Like, I don't even know if it's a min-maxer thing, if it's just like a meta thing. Like, I can't help but a meta slave. I can't help but put the best parts on. But I do think the muzzle device, muzzle brake, is interesting because, I don't know. I mean, it's like more ergo. Yeah. I mean, the gun has such a high TTK. It's like you're gonna ADS faster. I don't know. It's maybe.
Yeah, because with the suppressor, it's like it shreds Jura anyway, even without the suppressor, to be honest. Like this one, the one I've got in my stash right now is like 92 out of 94 and a half, because I've used it quite a bit, to be fair. But yeah, just because the way that the heat works in this game, right, it's just like if it's hot, it starts to like really eat away at the max, and with the suppressor, it's just like even worse. You have to replace the gun like every raid, basically.
I used the
Just insane.
the SR3M and with the suppressor, and like one raid it was at like a 90 durability, and I fought Sanitar, and that was it. Like Sanitar and the guards, and it was just like, and it jammed on me. I was like, man, they kind of killed the VSS Val, SM3, all those. I don't know if it's the bullets, because I was using a mix of
both,
like, but
yeah.
Is SPP the one that had? It's kind of annoying because they don't have the stats in game, and I'm just like, you know my stance on Loki. I just can't be bothered nowadays. But I had a feeling that SPP was the one that's like, you know, better.
SP6 is the crazy one.
That's okay. That's what I thought.
SP6 and BP will like burn.
I see.
They set a small fire in the gun these days. You know, I mean, the barrel itself is as usual for suppressors. It's like,
oh, is it
plus 36% durability, plus 14% heat.
So it's mainly an ammo thing.
So it's more, but the ammo is like insane. I mean, if we go like,
or did they do something to the gun itself? I thought I remember them patching and making specifically the Val and VSS worse.
Yeah, I think it was mostly the ammo, I believe. I mean, they might have actually made it on the gun as far a little bit. So SP6 is plus 45% durability burn and plus 61 heat, which obviously combines with the suppressor, right? So it's like kind of insane. You I don't know. As long as you don't spam it, it's kind of okay. But
you mean
was that SPP only 10?
Well, that's the thing. Is like if I full auto something and it doesn't die, the next time I shoot it with a mag, it's gonna jam like every time.
Yeah, you have to be careful. You do have to be careful. It's like countered by the fact that like most of the time a short spray will just like take someone down with SP6 at least. If you're using SPP, then it won't. Which is why I think with SPP it's probably quite tough. It's only 35 pen.
Yeah, that's the problem. So it's in a weird spot, like because it's also just weird that the Val is so expensive, and even the I mean, I don't know what flea market prices are, but it's like trader wise, it's very expensive, these guns. Anyways, what are we talking about for?
I think they're only really worth using it like
Vector,
with the best ammo. But yeah, I mean the Vector's alright. But like if you got the suppressor on, then you can change the stock out. Like I think the recoil literally doesn't matter on this thing. So you can put the suppressor on, and then you can just mod it to have the Viper. You know, the super high mega ergo version.
Yeah, but that's why I kind of like no suppressor, because like most of the time like suppressor is nice because it is suppressed, yes, but like also getting the recoil down is like also like another reason to use the suppressor.
Yeah.
But since it doesn't, since it's one of those low recoil guns to begin with, you're not getting a ton of value out of, putting a JMac muzzle brake on there if you could. You can't.
Yeah, like it's normal suppressor 41 recoil. Sorry, not normal muzzle brake 41 recoil. Suppressor's 40. So
yeah, it's like
whatever. It doesn't matter. You won't know. You won't notice that.
The ergo swings quite a bit. So I mean, and it could be nice for ADS speed.
19 swing plus 75 versus 56.
I would assume lower weight too. Not that significantly matters, but.
3.6 versus 3.9.
Okay, yeah, a little bit.
If you stick the Viper on, it's 4.5. The Viper's quite heavy actually, but then it takes you up to 68 ergo. But if you do that with the muzzle brake, you can have 87 ergo.
That's crazy.
And 4 kilos try that for the gun.
I gotta try that.
Full. That's with the Cobra. So Cobra, brake, Viper. I wasn't even bothering because I just used the normal one. You lose 12 ergonomics, but you also gain like you lose half a kilo as well of weight. So I don't know if it's as clear cut because you end up with 70. Like you have 75 ergo anyway, so it's like I don't know if it really makes any difference. I don't know if you'll be able to tell. It's one of those guns where it's just like doesn't matter what you do. The VSS is a lot like that. It's just like leave it and the Val to some extent.
Well, it's a shame because
leave the same, change the stock, add the vertical foregrip. It doesn't make any difference. Like I've gone and looked at it previously, and it's just like 1 frame ADS speed, the recoil is like imperceptibly different. I'm just like, just run it stock. Like you can add the stuff if you want, but it's placebo.
Yeah. 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 Probably right.
So I don't know whether it makes any difference. Yeah, but no, it's fun. It's fun. It's been interesting. Like going with The only thing about the SVT is just like, well, I'm not not getting any. You're not getting shooterborn with that. Not that I really care about that, but it's interesting because I brought the most into a couple of raids. Like I never do shooterborn normally, and I don't focus on it at all. I don't really like sniping, but because I did the MP18 on customs,
Mm-hmm.
there's like I kind of am like a little bit more inclined this wipe to like take one with me opportunistically.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not opposed to taking a cheapo VPO or a Mosin or something just like an MP18 even because it's funny. You take it and you go, oh, you got one shot. Eminem starts playing in the background and but it's because I've got 1 kill on Woods, I've got 2 kills on Customs and 1 on Lighthouse for Shooterborn, which is just Customs was from doing setup. The Lighthouse one was a opportunistic Mosin that I took off some guy that I killed, and then there was another guy just running across the road and I killed him. And then the Woods one was one of these like crazy fights with the Vector, where I one shot this guy as he was like going to extract, I think, and got a kill there. So I was just like, it's possible actually if you just like take it and give yourself the opportunities, you can kind of do it. I think
That's what I did that one.
To the MP18?
One of the wipes. I think it was the wipe when they first introduced the presets. I had a preset that was like MP5 SD and then the VPO on the back, and like just like every raid, just like bring it in because like when the opportunity presents itself, there's some dummy who's like on top of a rock, crouched, look down. He's like, I'm gonna get a bird's eye view of the situation. I'm like, I see you from here. Shoot aboard, pull out the sniper.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder what actually is the lightest gun these days? Because it used to be the AICS M700, but that's like, it's kind of expensive. Not that it really matters, but it's like kind of expensive. And you just feel like a bit of a dummy taking it with you, and then you just like die, and you're like, well, I didn't even use that gun, or like, I'm playing CQB. Whereas like, if you got the MP18 with you, like, well, I don't really care. It's basically a stick of wood.
Yeah.
So it's a wooden stick with a PS round in it.
I quite like putting on the polymer parts, get it all black. And I also
on the MP18.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah, get a little extra ergo. I don't know if it's any lighter, but
it is a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's nice.
What's the lightest scope? If you have the Tri-Hawk's not too bad. I quite like the Tri-Hawk on the MP18, and they're really cheap.
Yeah, I was using the Tri-Hawk for the VPO, so yeah.
Bravo. That's even lighter.
Now, hear me out. 25 ring mounts, PLAD. What are we talking?
I don't know. I guess it's all right.
What's the weight?
So 3.24 total with a Bravo. That is 3.33 with the PLAD.
Okay,
it's not too bad. It's pretty light. It's pretty light. It's not the lightest ever, but it's all right. It's okay. I don't think I had this funny feeling, and I think this is true. I think you can't put on the Prism or any of the ACOGs onto the MP18 because for some reason you can't fit the mount. I don't know why.
There's some inconsistencies with certain stuff. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why you're not allowed to do that. It's a bit strange because I think they're probably quite light. I'm not 100% sure, but I reckon they probably are. It's a bit odd. But I think the lightest actually, it almost looks like it's the Bravo, to be honest.
It's not what I've expected.
No, me neither. It doesn't look very light, does it?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Bravo, personally.
I don't mind the circle on it. It's okay.
It's okay, yeah. I'll use it on, I don't know why, but I'll use it on the SKS, because I don't know why, it just feels good on that. And then I'll use it on an M4 with the jailbreak attachment, because then you get the high-rise red dot, so you get less of the flashback from the extra muzzle.
Yes, that's a good idea. You even go for the TAC 30. That's quite heavy though. 3.5 doesn't matter too much. MP18 Bravo. MP18 Bravo is actually what I ended up doing the setup. I think because I think you could barter it for whiskies or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was buying them then for whiskies, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so that's actually how I did setup. So I don't mind that one. I think it's all right. You can technically put a dot on it, but that's what the other gun's for.
Yeah, you just do that.
But,
Bring like 5 rounds of LPS that you got from your scav, probably.
Yeah, whatever, right? And just
Yeah.
have it in your pocket. And
I mean, you could even buy T45 or T46 or whatever it's called.
yeah,
Doesn't.
so yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. I mean, I'm on to Punisher 6 now, so I actually haven't even begun. I got the SVD. I built one, played, didn't see anyone, survived. So I've got this SVD thing. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I usually do Punisher 6 while I'm just like trundling around doing other things. So we're just gonna have to see how it goes. Usually it's a bit more organic. But no, it's all right. I think like now the idea is go for Lightkeeper, I think at this point. This is the deal. Mainly go for Lightkeeper. So like usually where I get stuck with Lightkeeper is to do a load of skiers quests. I've got like chumming. That's partly what I'm like doing, sort of chumming and SVD. I'm like going to interchange. Going to try go at night, like kill players. Do it that way. Because I actually don't mind interchange with the SVD. I've actually completed Punisher 6 previously on interchange. I think it's quite a good like the ranges kind of work.
Yeah.
For the SVD, you're almost always going with the big scope, and you can look down the corridors quite well, and it's actually all right. So we'll see that with that. Like you have to. I can't remember which one it is. It's called like House Arrest, I think. Is the one that's a blocker for network provider. And that's just, it's a pain. You have to do chumming and then you have to do something else. I think you have to do bullshit. You have to do some other one. And so you have to do quite a few. It's like really annoying. Whereas the other ones, I think I've just got to do like forest clearing. I managed to complete Punish Part 5 and also the office kills one in the same raid, which is good because it's annoying having to go back and do the office kills one because not everybody goes to the office now. Like the map's bigger and people don't always go there. It's not like the epicenter of the fights these days.
Yeah.
I find there's a lot of fighting around like the medical room on Factory. To be honest, like people inhabit that they spawn in that stairwell kind of thing in the corner.
There's a spawn in
the
there?
med room. Yeah, there's a spawn in the room below.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Kind of on the intersection between so where the corridor there's that long corridor that comes out of the broad forklifts area. Yeah, and you come out of that, and on the right you've got the new room. You could spawn I've spawned in the bottom of that loads of times, and you can either then like run up the stairs and run all the way along to the office, which is what I was doing.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Or you can just be like, this is my life now. I am now a hermit crab and just live in the stairwell, which is what a lot of people end up doing. And I hear people like traipsing around in there and they're like looting med bags and stuff. And if you come anywhere near them, they're just like, eh. And then they just do nothing until you arrive, right? And they could be in so many places. They could be in the stairwell where you can't probably hear them. They could be in the med room. They could be at the top. They could be on the overlook thing, looking out over to the medical section with the med tents. It seems very popular now for people to be up there because there's a lot of advantage to being in that building. You can see up both sides actually, because you can be on, if you're not on the floor, which is the like running into the office bit, the bit below, you can then see out into the outside of forklifts, like the glass corridor and some of the machines there, and you can like whip round the other way and then look out over the medical area. So it's quite a fortified area of the map. People fighting there a lot. So some of the raids, I was just kind of like in the office corridor, just like twiddling my thumbs, like, come on, people. I like very tempted to bring a pistol, just being like, there's somebody in here. Come on, like, come fight me. It's just annoying. But unfortunately, we've got that done in the same raid.
For an event, Legacy Factory. And I want the old school one, okay? No expansion, no crashed helicopter. Yeah. I mean, I do think the expansion crashed helicopter med tent stuff, I think that one's probably the most well balanced. The only part of it that feels kind of like wasted space kind of is like the med tent area and the underground of that, the big open. Now it's flooded in the latest version. Yeah. It just, it feels like that's like the scav place. Like if you're a scav, you go there and you loot. Whereas like PMC,
there's a box and
yeah. Whereas like a PMC, I feel like I don't really do much over there. Not like any quests over there. I guess maybe nowadays there is. But anyways, yeah, that would be a fun event. Bring back the like OG one before the expansions, because it was like literally like Corridor Simulator and then like The Office.
I know they've said that they don't have that anymore. Like it is gone. They've like updated. They've destructively updated over the top of it to get to where they did, but they saved the one before updating it to this version. So the one with the
Okay.
Mentent expansion we do have, and we've
Still
saved
pretty
that
good.
in a format that's like usable, right? They can add that to the game as a thing for events or whatever, which is cool. So we actually could well see the return of that at some point, just as like a fun thing,
That would be
which
fun.
I'd like. It'd be nice because Factory's got a special place in many people's hearts. It's like one of the early OG maps. I think was it just that in customs,
Yeah.
and then Woods got added. I think
Yeah.
like right at the beginning. I mean, by the time that I had played, they'd done Factory and Customs, then Woods, then I think Shoreline.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't even go in the resort; it was like gated off. So Shoreline was
Oh,
literally
wow.
like a beach,
Wow.
and then they expanded Shoreline to make the resort,
Right.
if I understand it correctly. And then what
And
did
then
they do
they
after that?
expanded
Did
the
they do
top right
Interchange?
side.
Maybe I can't
Oh,
remember when the
no,
Interchange
no.
came.
Interchange came before Shoreline, I'm pretty
Was
sure.
that before Shoreline? Okay, I don't know the
Well,
full order because we went around.
now I'm
And
not
then I
sure.
think I started playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they added reserve.
Yeah. I played right as they added reserve.
Yeah, we basically played it about at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was about 5 years ago, if I remember correctly.
Don't remind me.
Which is it's a long ass time. Yeah, I bought the game in 2019, May. Nearly 6 years actually. 6 years of Escape from Tarkov. What that'll do to a man.
So, what was 2019? Yeah, that
I bought
sounds
mine in
right.
2019, yeah.
Yeah, because I think I played that January of 2020.
Yeah, I played a month in to patch 11.7
Mm-hmm.
was when I started playing properly. Yeah. Yeah, intriguing. Very, very intriguing. So yeah, no, it's going alright. We can just have to see what happens to the rest of the patch now. Just like right now, it feels kind of ordinary again. It just feels like usual
Yeah.
Tarkov, I would say. The stuff from the beginning of the wipes kind of the effects of that are kind of over. Except for Fighter Raid Hideout. Like I'm about to get the Bitcoin farm, but I need PSUs. You need so many PSUs, and they're really annoying to get. They're like not something you save. You need 10 of them.
You know,
It's
I
crazy.
saw you on I watched your VOD Thursday and I saw you on Ground Zero. And people were like, "Why are you on Ground Zero?" And you're like, PSU's hitting all the PCs, because there's a lot of PCs on that map. I mean, the one I usually go to for stuff like that in the past was like Interchange. But like I'm not gonna lie, Ground Zero's kind of got the loots on it, like filing cabinets, PCs, and then you got like the big toolboxes and regular toolboxes in the underground. Like, that's kind of like everything you need for the hideout, right?
Ground Zero's pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good. Other than it being very tight and like hard to maneuver. And that basically everybody there is like trying to do Shooterborn in Heaven in like the high.
Wait, you have to do Shooterborn on that map? Oh my.
Yep.
Why would they do that?
So like, why would you ever go? This is the only thing that's left to do there. Is Shooterborn.
I can't believe they would do that.
Yeah, it's not great.
That's the new player map. Why would they do that?
Well, because you're in high level Ground Zero then.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I did hear some like deranged strats from people in chat who were just like, I'm not leaving until I get Shooterborn done on this map. Like, I get to unlock Shooterborn, and like, I can't actually. When do you get Shooterborn? I think you get it quite early now, don't you? Because people said, oh, you should get it. You should get it earlier.
Is the 15
because you have to,
the level gate?
Wipe. I think it's. Oh, we have to do farming part 3, which is level 14. So you get level 14. You do farming part 3, which is the graphics card package. And then you go and do Shooterborn in Heaven. You do it on. You complete Ground Zero between levels 15 and 20 before you get kicked out. So you can just shoot the noobs in the head with the Mosin, and then you carry on with your wipe. I mean, it depends. It depends what you want to do. You know, if you're like really, you're really keen on getting Shooterborn done, then sure,
yeah.
I get it, that strategy. But
yeah, because why would you want to go when you're like level 52? Like,
yeah, it's
you're
horrible.
gonna be against, presumably other level 52s or other people doing Shooterborn, or I don't know. That'd be just weird.
Yeah. The only thing about Ground Zero is that like there's PCs and stuff, but they're kind of in annoying places. They're either at like the tops of stairwells, tops of buildings. It's annoying to move around. I personally just prefer to be on the streets because there's like huge rooms full of computers on the streets. I just prefer that in general. And interchange, I find often by the time you get to where you want to be, it's already been looted. People have already like looted all the PCs. But again, I just find it kind of annoying to get in and out. Like streets, at least there's usually stuff to do, and I just kind of prefer playing on that map. And I don't know. Interchange is fine. I think it's fine. It's maybe fine as PMC, but you can scav streets and everything. Like lots of stuff will be unlooted because there's so much loot. Because if you scav interchange, everything's already like stripped bare. Like interchange computer rooms are like the place to get computer stuff. So you go there and it's just like there's nothing anywhere. So as PMC, it's probably okay. But I typically don't run PMC item runs on interchange. It's just not something I do.
I probably would.
It makes me uncomfortable, and yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I vow to only take the backpack list. So yeah, I mean, I can only fit 2 PSUs at maybe 3, 1 in the butt, 2 in like a rig.
Yeah, I mean, I had very lucky. I need 10, right? I've found 5 so far. I found 1, and then I went to streets as PMC. Went to that like the classic computer room one, which is I don't even know how you describe it. It's the one opposite the pub. It's on that main street. The pub where you get the Skybridge key. It's opposite that. You like climb. There's like a wooden board climbing through the window.
Yeah.
And there's like 5 PCs in there, all right next to each other. Mm-hmm. And I went in there, and it was just like PSU, PSU, PSU. PSU, and chat was like, "This is your sign to get out now." It's like I had a mechanism with me, and I just had 4 PSUs in the 2x2s.
I'm saying,
like, right, we're going.
It's the PSU one. I used to take that to interchange all the time because you could put motors in there, drills, like it fit perfectly. PSUs, it's great.
The tool bag.
Yeah, you can put tools in there, tool sets.
So yeah, I got 5, but that was the last one I had. I haven't had another one since then. But I've got all the other stuff. I've got VPX and like power cords is easy. You can craft them if you need to. So I'm like kind of leaving them, organically picking them up as I do. CPU fans, you'll find them as you're trying to find PSUs. But PSUs are a pain. They're heavy and they're big. They're annoying. So yeah. Otherwise, hideout's like getting there, I would say. Other than I was looking the other day at the requirements, and you need like 111 ES lamps to finish the hideout.
Wow.
111!
That's crazy.
You only be fun raid. It's a lot. But it's because it's stuff like shooting range, cultist circle, gear rack.
A lot of these newer additions.
Yeah. Like Hall of Fame, levels 1, 2, 3, gear rack 1, 2, 3. There's like a lot of them, and you need loads of them for those. And I think that's mainly it. It's just like, it made sense before, but now it's altogether too many of one item.
Yeah.
But in some other ways, it's like, I guess they're like flex extension bits as well. Like, do you really need is mannequin level 3 really going to matter? Does Hall of Fame level 3 really matter? Like, not really. So I'm like, it doesn't need to be made easy. It's not like Workbench 2 or something. It's like really very serious if you don't manage to get this thing.
Workbench 1, you and I argue. Good God.
Well,
just let me use the modding screen, damn it.
Yeah. I feel like there should be a Workbench 0 or something, which just allows you to use the modding screen. Like you just pay 50k or whatever. Yeah.
Just give it to me for free. Just give me the damn button in the menu. That's all I have.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so tell me about Bloodborne on PC. I don't know much about Bloodborne other than Tobias, the old like community manager from Tarkov, went there to be community manager. That's the only thing I really know about Bloodborne. I don't really know anything about the game.
Oh, well, this is PS4 exclusive title. I'm not sure what Bloodborne you're talking about, Tobias.
I think it's the same thing. I think he went to. It was like they're called Shark Mob. I think.
Oh, you're thinking of
I think it's something
Battleborn or something Born.
Maybe I'm thinking of something Hunt, Blood Hunt or something. Maybe some.
Yeah. Okay, so Bloodborne. This is
that Blood Hunt. Is this different?
This is different.
This isn't the same game.
No. This is for the PS4. Okay. I mean, this is an older title, and basically, Bloodborne fans have been begging for a remake from FromSoft, who made Elden Ring, the Dark Souls series, among other games. It's
one of their games.
It's one of their games. Sony and them did a collaboration, whatever. and they did an exclusive. Yay, consoles exclusives, we love them. And Sony has not. It's been like one of the games, like from the fans, both on like Sony and like Bloodborne or Dark Souls fans, from Soft fans, to like requested a remaster for. And video game companies love remastering games, right?
They do.
Presumably, anyways, because it happens so frequently. It feels like, well, why haven't we got a remaster? Lots of speculation. First being Sony's being dicks, which is probably the case because Sony is like love being dicks nowadays. And I assume that because if they make a remaster, like right now, I don't know the market, but I know that PS5 had like a ton of issues with like stock, right? And there was like
Okay.
scalping and stuff. And like a lot of these like companies, like it's like that's like exclusives are like the thing to do because that's how you sell more consoles, and like that's where if they buy a console, then that means they buy more games, and if you have exclusives, then they're buying exclusively. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
anyways. So I mean, I speculate that they maybe want to do a remaster, but it might be only for like the PS6 or something. But like if they do like one now, and they release on like PC and like a bunch of platforms, like that's gonna suck, right? Because they won't sell any PS. Because right now you could just go buy a PS4 and play it, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so there's this. The people have been trying PS4 emulation for quite some time, and there's been a lot of projects that haven't really taken off. But not too long ago, like a handful of months ago, maybe like 6 months, half a year ago, there was like some pretty like they were able to launch into the title screen of like Bloodborne, for example, with like their emulator, which like basically no one, I mean, maybe like one other emulator has done like successfully. I'm not sure about that, but it was like big news in like the Bloodborne fandom slash FromSoft community. And
Okay.
so fast forward to modern day, you can play this game on PC emulation pretty reasonably. There is like a
Hmm.
few quirks that you need to iron out with like mods. And depending on your hardware, you may have to do some more modding to sort of get more performance overhead. But you can play, at least I can. I can play 1080p Bloodborne at 60 FPS because the OG game is actually 30 FPS at 1080p.
Right.
So you have to patch it to 60, which is just like, I cannot do. Like, I was like in my head kind of debating about using native 1440p at 30, but I was like, oh, it's. I tried 30 FPS once. I was just like, no, 60 is the only way. So, anyways, and it's been a rabbit hole. It's I've like played it, and then now I'm going through the modding rabbit hole, and
Hmm.
I'm fixated on anti-aliasing at the moment because it uses FXAA, which is like,
Ew.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's better than no aliasing.
It's the bad. That's the bad one in EFT. No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right. You
It's
got
the
like
low.
TAA and
It's
FXAA in
pretty
EFT.
low in the totem pole. Um, I guess it's not that performance heavy is like one upside,
Yeah.
but you know, there's interestingly within the files you can enable a different form of aliasing. And this one's through, it's just kind of a nerd out fact, but this one's through a company called Yebus, which
Mm.
I looked them up because I was like, what is Yebus aliasing? They had like all these different Yebus color gradient. I looked them up. They're a software company that develops middleware for games to do kind of like almost like reshade, but like on the development side, I think. So like for example, like Black Desert Online, you ever heard of that game?
Heard of it, but
Yeah, I mean I don't some MMORPG. They work with them, or they have like a license agreement with them or something. And then anyways, point being is like, the option's there. It's just like it's disabled by default using FXAA, and you enable it, it's like slightly better, but it's like it's a better FXAA, but it's still crap. So now it's like, what? We got all this technology, NVIDIA, DLSS, DLAA, DSR, NIS, all these like scaling solutions, lossless scaling. It's like, what can I utilize to get this thing looking, and what can I do to make this my own remastered experience? Sony won't do it. I'll do it for myself, right? Because I've never played the game, and I need to know what all the hype is about, which I kind of get it already. It's like, it's just like any other Dark Souls game, which is kind of like, I mean, you roughly know what's going on in those games, right? Elden Ring, Dark Souls. It's like that, but like set in London with like a Lovecraftian sort of like horror Van Helsing edgelord to it.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And what else? The combat is like super fluid. It's like incentivizes you to be aggressive, and it's interesting because it's like definitely a FromSoft game, but like the actual mechanical gameplay is like similar to the other games, but you it's like you're meant to be aggressive. It's interesting, because like the classic thing in Dark Souls is like you got a shield and sword, and you're just like shield up. You just like constantly shield up and attack, right? Whereas this is like you got like a gun and a melee weapon, and then
all right.
This really blew me away, because I don't even know how to describe it. The weapons are like, it's like a blunderbuss or like a pistol, but like in the blunderbuss kind of style, and then like you'll have like a hatchet type thing, right? But it's like kind of like mechanically, and it's got all these jagged saw tooths on it. And what you can do is, you got your classic like light swing, heavy attack, but then you have this thing called, someone's got to correct me possibly in the chat, which is like weapon transformation. And so like basically there's like this hinge on it, right? So it's like I don't know, you got like this wooden piece, and then there's this hinge, and then it curves down, and you got this like sawtooth hatchet, basically. And then you can like flick it to extend it to like a spear / pole arm. And then it's like it got a different moveset. But the crazy thing is, you can hit that button during like swinging, and he'll flick it, but as an attack also.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It's like, oh my god, it's just like the combat is just so like, and when you take damage, you lose health, of course, but that damage is like recoverable, and you recover it via attacking the enemy and you get like little bits back. So you're just like constantly incentivized to like be swinging, just spam the trigger.
Mm.
And the dashing is like, it feels really good. Anyways, but yeah, I like I said, went down this anti-aliasing rabbit hole because I was like, God, can I use DLAA? Or well, yeah, that was the first thing. I was like, can I use DLSS to upscale this? No, you cannot. It's gotta, that's like an NVIDIA exclusive thing.
Yeah.
They gotta like integrate it into the game. It's like, okay, what about image upscaling? Kind of crap, because you take a low resolution and you like use an algorithm to scale it up. It's not AI, so it's like sharpened via algorithms. So like,
right.
if you have like a native 1080p monitor, but you can't run a game at 1080p, it's like okay for that because you can run it at like 720 upscaled sharpening, but it's like it's not that great. It's like, what about DLAA? Is it DLAA? No, DSR, which is like uses AI to. Okay, so God, there's so many terms. There's DSR.
That was the
right?
downsample one, right?
Yes, you take a high resolution and you scale it down. Which, like, this is the this looks great because you're taking like a 4K gameplay, video effectively and scaling it down
Mm.
to your monitor. Looks great, right? Like you get basically eliminate a lot of the jaggeds. Like you don't even need aliasing, and then you add anti-aliasing on top. It's like it looks perfect. Problem is, you're still running the game at 4K, even though it's getting squished down. It's still native. Like internally, it's running
Yeah.
at 4K, so you need a lot of GPU headroom. And like, I'm already at 90% on this emulator, so like I can't really don't have that. So that didn't work. Because like I gotta get a stable 60, otherwise the game's like it's I can't tolerate it. Um, so it's like, okay, what about DLDSR, which uses AI? A little bit of the DLSS to it. It doesn't have the ghosting, to my knowledge. I'm not sure about that, but anyways, same concept. Scale the game up, or natively run the game at a high resolution. Use AI to downscale it to your monitor. Tried that. Still not like it's better frames, but like
Mm.
not 60. Because if you don't get like, I think I was getting like around the 50s.
Okay.
Because like natively I was getting 45, and because of the way the game works, it's like one of those older games where like it doesn't have a variable refresh rate. So when it's like underperforming, it's just like stuttering. Like the frame doesn't.
Yeah.
There is no in between frames, if you will. It's just like it's the same frame until the next one's ready, but the
Hmm.
timer it's not there, so it just pauses there. It's awful. Um, so yeah, that didn't work. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm back to the drawing board. Because I tried a little bit of reshade stuff earlier, I was like, let me try it again, but I'll like do some more research instead of like finding some quick YouTube guide, some random, effectively Reddit post. Let me do some research and find like a good solution. And man, just learning about aliasing is just like, or anti-aliasing is just like, I mean, it makes sense when you think about it because the monitors are literally just like pixels, a bunch of like LED diodes and like, whereas we went from like, CRTs, which was like a tube and it, shot out scans and it was just like, this is like
Yeah.
crazy. Um, so you're trying to, eliminate the pixel in this, you want it to get like looking realistic, right? That's the goal. So there's just like anti-aliasing, which like detects edges and like blurs them and like sampling, and then you got multi super anti-aliasing MSAA, and then I found one interesting thing called like CMAA, which was something Intel was working on,
Okay.
and it was
What does that
like
do?
it was um it was like the visual performance of SMAA without the expensive cost of it. And it also improved shadows as well. Like I don't know why MSAA doesn't handle like dark spots well with like
Mm.
anti-aliasing. Um I don't know. Anyways, but they stopped the project. Like you can go on their
Oh.
GitHub repository. They stopped it. However, apparently Counter-Strike has their own CAA or CM. I think it's CAA or CMAA. I'm not sure. And I don't know if it's the same or related, but I saw that as well, which was just kind of odd. Anyways, I found someone's own separate repository who made a shader for Reshade, taking,
Mm.
converting Intel's abandoned work, because you can just copy the code over and they, try to get to work. But I couldn't really see much of a difference. And this is the thing that I'm finding interesting is like, I'm using one now called like HQAA, which is like high quality anti-aliasing, some thing someone made up, right? And it uses like a
Right.
mix of FXAA and SMAA, and it even has a temporal anti-aliasing um, add-on you can do as well. Which temporal, long and short of it, it's like uses previous data to like previous frames to like predict. I don't know. It's the bane of gamers basically because you get the shimmering. The two things people complain about is like shimmering and ghosting, right? And like it even with this, it's like it's a little bit. There's not that much shimmering, if any, but it's more like smudginess, which is weird. But anyways, it's like if I crank it up too massively with all the sliders, because there's like a bajillion sliders. I mean, this person is like, they're kind of like me, Once they get into something, they just like really get into it. Except the only difference is they finish finish it and keep it up to date. But I mean, there's so many sliders. Anyways, so like I was playing around with it, and it's just like, I mean, there really is no good solution because it's like either you do, you get rid of enough of the jaggies, and then you treat the movement because there's like grass, right? And there's wind, so the grass is like fanning in the distance, and you see if without any anti-aliasing solution, it just looks awful. It just looks like pixels dancing, right? Or even like your character's a side of the arm. You just see like, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about because it's like, I mean, back in the day, this was just like, yeah, that's just gaming. Like you didn't even really think of it. And now it's like after DLSS and everything, maybe even before that, like graphics, just like, oh my god, how dare I see a jaggy edge? I just saw something in the chat, so I'm just gonna carry on with that. This is the interesting thing to learn about emulation is apparently the goal of like good emulation, anyways, we'll say the goal of it is to get near perfect emulation, meaning that you're not doing any optimization, you're not doing any hacks or tricks. Like you're trying to get one-to-one emulation because that's kind of the goal, right? Like that's the whole point of
Yeah.
it. And then once you do that, then you can go back over and do the emulation because it's like the language these console games were made upon um, isn't always the same or is missing bits and pieces here for our computers to decode. Like it's interesting because I think AMD has certain instruction sets available to it that like Intel doesn't, for example, which can make a difference in emulation, but there's usually workarounds. And so like you can try to like convert this stuff, I guess, and you gotta like deal with like how do you take a floating point number and like square that circle or round that edge or whatever, it's like doing all the anyways. It's actually very interesting stuff. I would like to learn more about it. But yeah, back to the anti-aliasing stuff. All I'm gonna say is, man, AI and like the way that tech has gone, it's like really takes for granted that stuff because it is like I don't know how I can. It's like there's no winning. It's like if I make it too soft, if you will, it's like sampling.
Yeah.
It's detecting the edges, right? Like it's doing a great job of that. And it's like if it tries a resample of it and like kind of like brush it across, and it's like becomes you start losing detail, right? So then it's like now you got to have a way of bringing back detail, but then it's like you're bringing back more of the problem of the jagged edges. It's like there is no real winning here. It's like the solution is you need a 4K, you need like an 8K display to get like real life 16K. That's the real, but that's just like unreasonable, and right. So
to try and like sample everything so much higher than what you're actually running it at.
Yeah.
Like to be fair, like, do you remember like back in the day? I mean, people used to like not use AA quite often because even going up to 4 times would just completely kill your machine.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be fair, AA is a lot more efficient
I
now than it used to be.
Yeah.
Because you'd see those settings. AA used to be one of those ones where you'd just be like, well, I don't want to touch that. Like maybe I put it on 2 times because anything higher than that, it's just going to completely destroy my machine. But like these days, we've got so many more. I'm sure there's like onboard sections of every GPU that's like just dealing with that, and it's so much more efficient. We're not like just doing it in software anymore.
But it's interesting because that Reddit subreddit, but TAA, I saw a lot of like positive sentiment towards MSAA, which is pretty good, but it's like 80 performance. But it's like modern game devs. I don't know. I guess temporal is like the new hot thing on the block because it does handle some things better. And it's probably like
Mhm.
more efficient, less taxing. But like I could see why like a lot of like enthusiasts, right? Like a lot of these people, they probably have like 4K monitors, 4080 Ti's, and they're, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
probably, it's like, whereas like probably like the average person of like a, 4060, 3060, whatever,
Mhm.
they probably would rather have TAA and not, 8x multi-sampling, you know? So, because they're probably playing on 1080p monitor, it's like, they kind of
Matters
just,
less.
yeah, and you're going for like this realistic looking game because that's like where everything's, if the graphics are getting more lifelike, it makes sense that the games are going to get more lifelike too, right? So,
Mm. Yeah.
anyways,
Exactly.
that's what I've been up to. I've literally,
Well,
I haven't played in like the past 48 hours because I've been just down the rabbit hole.
it's Fallout all over again.
It's actually, uh,
You know what? It's good to have a project. It's good to have something to work on. You feel like you're
uh,
not just doing it for doing its sake. You've got something to do it for, right? And then you're learning stuff. Like I think that's fine. I think that's fine. As long as you enjoy
yeah.
yourself, you're learning stuff, whatever. Then like it's fine.
Yeah,
You
that's the
don't even
thing.
have
I'm
to play
not
the
even.
game or finish it.
I'm
It's
not
okay.
sure if I'm enjoying myself at this point. I can't tell. I have to reevaluate that and let you know.
Could be talking about so many things: Tarkov, Dota 2, anti-aliasing. We have a lot of hobbies like this, Church.
Uh,
I don't even know if I'm enjoying myself anymore, but I can't. I just can't help it. Ah, cool.
all right.
All
Uh,
right.
I think we'll wrap it up there for today's cast. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to our sponsor, Lethal Gaming Gear. And we'll see you all next week.
Catch you later.